Pirate I was dug up by Robin, Chapter 81-100. Chapter 81 Barose, 5 elders shock the Marine headquarters. 039 Bang 039. The mighty conqueror Haki descends. Take time to sweep the entire mansion. That terrifying Haki isn't just for spirits. Even the castle and the earth trembled violently for a moment under this Haki. Under the impact of this surging and violent Haki, the world was quiet. The hustle and bustle of the main hall of Alilk's mansion was gone. Many East Blue Dark agents, including the mansion owner Alec III, fell to their knees one by one. Put 039. Dong 039. Their knees collided with the marble floor under terrifying weight. The ground in Dali's city shattered. Also shattered were their knees. Ah! The shrill screams came one after another. Damn it, Alilk, explain to me what's going on. Ah! The fat underground arms black dealer Doc Quinn yelled in horror. 039 Puff 039. The next moment, his screams stopped abruptly. The pig head with fat head and big ears is separated from the neck, and the incision is as smooth as a mirror. 760. Dead, really dead. All the agents of darkness widened their eyes in horror, and the corners of their eyes seemed to be torn apart. An emotion called fear took over their bodies. Guards, what about the guards outside? And the old man's bodyguard? What have you been doing? A dark agent with sunken eye sockets like a skinny monkey shouted. 039 CC 039. Two thorns ejected from Zala's palm, ready to penetrate his throat. Don't shout, your people are dead, it's your turn now. Zala said grimly. You are right, I am a layman when it comes to conspiracy and tricks in my understanding of the dark world, but when it comes to killing people, our boss is enough to crush you thousands of times. Zala spoke proudly, and looked at Luo Lin next to him, full of admiration and admiration. She is a killer and knows all kinds of ways to kill. But until today. Until I came here with Roland. It was the first time Zala knew that it was possible to kill people like this. Haki gesture of slashing everything with one knife has been deeply engraved in Zala's heart and will never be forgotten. Boss, you and Yuba Kuro's boss shouldn't be Kuro Keta. The dark agent didn't finish his words. Dao Zhengguang swept across, splitting him in half from head to toe. A misunderstanding, a misunderstanding. 039 Puff 039. Don't kill me, my boss is Lufield of the Dark King. I'm from Lord Jigula, you dare to touch me. 039 Puff 039. It's all him, it's all the fault of this Alilk, it has nothing to do with us. Yes, we were just bewitched by him. From now on, the East Blue Market will be handed over to you, we don't want it anymore. 039 Puff 039. Kill one person in one step. Whether it was begging for mercy or threatening, nothing could stop the cold sword light from falling. In no time. Of a huge mansion has become a bloody Asura field. What a sad bunch of bugs who don't know why they died until they die. Robin sneered and shook his head. Respected adults, leave me alone. I can be your most loyal dog and manage the East Blue underground market for you. As a nobleman of the Goya Kingdom, I will definitely be able to come in handy. In the end, Alilk III was unwilling to accept such an ending and was still struggling. Hee. Roland shook his head helplessly. Why, Alilk III was desperate. I'm here to kill you today, not for some East Blue underground market, but because you upset my girls. Just. 039 Puff 039. Heads fall. Even when he died, the aristocratic Alilk III's face was still full of shock and disbelief. 039 Rumble. The majestic castle that turned into a dead Shira castle shattered, collapsed and turned into ruins in the rumbling sound. At the top of the ruins, there was a long knife dripping with blood. Robin, tell me to go down and let the little crocodiles harvest as much as they want. With his back to the collapsed castle, Roland spoke calmly without looking back. The upheaval that took place at the Alilk mansion couldn't have been kept secret for too long. plus the incident at the entrance to High Town. At this moment, the entire Goa kingdom was shocked. The Goa royal family was furious and ordered the murderer to be found. This is not just to avenge Alec III, but also to eliminate hidden threats. Since the other party can wash the mansion of an earl under the eyes of the kingdom, then the palace is no longer a safe place. The other nobles in Goa town were even more worried, for fear that disaster would fall on them at some point. As a country that is a member of the world government, such a major incident occurred in the Kingdom of Goa, and it was naturally impossible not to alarm Marine and the government. Marine First Incident, stationed in the Goa Kingdom, is involved in the investigation. Marine headquarters into the Holy Land Mariajoy in just 1 hour. So the Marine headquarters shook. Holy Land Mariajoy, there was a sound of air conditioning. Damn, that bastard, is this a demonstration against us? Just that picture is not enough, how dare you do it this time? The Mariajoy incident 36 years ago, and the Goagao town incident this time, seems to tell us that the big incident of that day will be repeated. This is the threat of Chiguo. I can't bear it. I can't bear it. In the gorgeous central palace, the world's highest power Gorosei, 5 elders have exploded. What can I do if I can't bear it? Is it possible that we can still mobilize all the forces of Marine and the government to encircle and suppress it? Not to mention whether it can be successfully caught. Before taking action, Marine must first. Long white beard blue suit Gorosei, 5 elders speaks faintly. Are we just waiting for him to kill Mariajoy again? It would be the best if he could be single-handedly killed as he did last time without making any progress. Looks like it's time to ask Lord Yim. Marine Headquarters, Marineford. Office of the Marshal. The desk that has only been in office for a few days has once again sacrificed gloriously. It's just that this time, in addition to the anger because of this tragic incident, there is another different emotion mixed in it. Suru, this Goya Gaojun incident, this report is exactly the same as it was 36 years ago. Who is it? In Marine's legendary Vice Admiral, the hero Garp stuttered because of his excessive shock. Impossible, absolutely impossible to be him. Sengoku opened his mouth firmly. That guy has been a Marine for 10 years, how could he kill innocent people indiscriminately, and those nobles in Gaojun are not Tenryubito? Really? Young Vice Admiral Crane asked rhetorically. The real nobles who died in this report are only one-handed. The people in the collapsed mansion are all dark agents of the East Blue underground world, and they all have a way to die. If it's what that guy did, I wouldn't be too surprised, because he's always been such a hateful person before. Vice Admiral said faintly. Bang 039. The door to the Marshal's office was violently pushed open again. Beautiful and graceful Marine Vice Admiral dressed in pink Marine costumes came with an excited look. 54 inches Mr. Sengoku, I'm asking to be involved in the investigation of this Goagao incident. Marine Headquarters candidate Admiral Momoshige Gion took the initiative to order. No. Sengoku who spoke, it was Vice Admiral Crane. You're not allowed to go. Vice Admiral Crane flatly refused. Sister Crane, why? I want to see him. Gion, who looked about the same age as Suru, pursed her lips in grievance. If you are not allowed to go, you are not allowed to go, said Vice Admiral. Gion, we haven't really determined it's that guy yet. We'll wait until Kizaru returns from Alabasta's investigation. Marshal Sengoku said. And you, Garp, you also stay in the headquarters for me, and you are not allowed to go anywhere. Sengoku looked stern. Hey East Blue Goya Kingdom is my territory. When such a big thing happened, of course I have to go back and have a look. Garp said. I really don't want that to be exposed, the secrets of his body exposed, if I can. The young Vice Admiral spoke quietly. It's really hard to be enemies all over the world. Chapter 82 Doflamingo 1, A Living Nightmare. The incident in the high town of the Goya Kingdom of East Blue is destined not to be kept secret for too long. Just one day. Following the Shichibukai Crocodile's Kokoyashi village incident, Shichibukai Hakai Mahak, S. Shimotsuki Village Great Swordsman Incident. The third storm that followed East Blue quickly swept across the sea. Among them, the biggest reaction to this is those who are more or less involved in the world's major dark forces. The Dark Kings of the Underworld in the New World, Luffield, the King of Loans, Umit, the Sea King, Jigula, the Organ Dealer, and the World Arms Crocodile. Waiting for more than 10 huge dark forces to shake together. Overnight. The dark agents they sent to guard the East Blue properties were all lost. What angered these predators in the underground world even more was that their arrangement in East Blue for so many years had completely collapsed in just 3 days. Years of hard work came to nothing. Not a family, but a dozen. What a gaffe this is. In the underground dark world, the predators who have been in the dark for decades have never experienced such a humiliating situation. Industrial losses are second. The most important thing is the face. Shichibukai of a paradise in the 09 district of Beijing will be able to destroy all their properties in East Blue. Spread out, they have no face to speak of. Must fight back. Absolutely take revenge. Down pointing arrow. By the East Blue incident spontaneously gathered together. To deal with this incident, to discuss countermeasures. Negotiate how to get revenge on Shichibukai Crocodile. Crocodile, who is completely unaware that he has taken the blame again and is being targeted by the dark forces of the New World, is grinning widely. In front of him, instead of Lois, piles of gold and silver are piled up. This trip to East Blue, for Crocodile, is definitely the most unforgettable in his life. First, he participated in the Big Stomach Challenge for the first time and won the championship, and took home the first trophy in his life. Then came the Kokoyashi Village incident, which became famous all over the world with that big news. The last is the crazy rich these days. Originally in Robin's plan, although this trip to East Blue also had the purpose of making money, at most it was to earn a little price difference through trade. If it doesn't work, catch all the bounty criminals in East Blue and go to Marine to make money to build a base city. Who would have thought that the harvest in just a few days would be more than twice what he had accumulated over the past decades? Crocodile didn't care about treasure, all he valued was the ultimate force. But at this moment, in the face of such a huge amount of treasure, it is impossible for him to be completely indifferent. At this time, he was happy like a 200-pound child, and the corners of his mouth were almost grinning to the roots of his ears. Even for Crocodile, not to mention other ordinary members who take their money as their fate. One by one was already excited to go to the sky. Little ones, stop for a while, wait for this island to be emptied, and go to the next destination. Crocodile waved his arms. At the same time, just as Crocodile was eagerly preparing to continue the harvest, there was an organization similar to the original Baroque works in the New World. Heavenly Yaksha, also one of the Shichibukai, is the home base of the Don Quixote family led by Don Quixote Doflamingo. Dressrosa in the New World was not at ease at the moment. Doflamingo, the clown who is the biggest dark intermediary in the underground world, can't get around it. The outdoor swimming pool on the second floor of the royal palace. Doflamingo, who was still dressed as a flamingo, was lying on the beach chair with a gloomy expression on his face. Under the cover of the sun umbrella, it is unreal. But from it, you can feel a frightening aura. Conqueror's aura that was about to run wild in his body. Master. Baby 5, dressed as a maid, hid far away and looked at Doflamingo with a panicked expression. What the hell happened to the young master today? There are still a lot of things in the underground world waiting for him to deal with. Artist 039 Jora with colorful and explosive hair said anxiously. On East Blue's side, that Crocodile has done a really thorough job. He has completely overturned our layout in East Blue over the past few years. Could it be that he wants to monopolize the entire East Blue market? The leader of sumo wrestlers, Mahabe, who has the ability to crush fruit, said in surprise and anger. What does that sand crocodile think of the underground dark world? Do you think he can fight against all the dark forces by himself? His behavior is nothing but self-destruction. Now Lufield, Umit, Jigula and others in the underground world have all started to take action, and they have already planned to attack the crocodile, and many people have contacted Dover, but now. Sticky all over, like a snot-covered top Kadri Torapal looked at Doflamingo worriedly. Dover, what happened to you today? Even if the sand crocodile messes up, it actually doesn't affect us as much as we imagined. You shouldn't be like this, you are our king. Wearing going chain mail, the big man with muscles as strong as a rock was shouting in a sharp voice. Don't say it, Pika, the young master's appearance for 163 days is not right. It should not be because of that incident. Laog said. 039 boom. The moment Laog's voice fell, Doflamingo's suppressed emotions exploded along with his own conqueror haki. A terrifying aura swept all over the place. The officials of the Don Quixote family not far from Ling were silent. After a long time, the horror haki that enveloped the palace gradually dissipated and returned to Doflamingo. Doflamingo on the beach chair let out a long breath. The eyes under the pink sunglasses of Sao Bao plus feet, flickering as fear. Certainly not to Crocodile. As the intermediary king of the dark underground world, he considers himself far above Crocodile. What Doflamingo really fears is this morning's report. A report on the massacre in the high town of East Blue's Goa Kingdom. The bloody long sword standing on the ruins awakened the dream demon in his heart. It was the nightmare that enveloped him all his life. The nightmarish memories that he had almost completely sealed away were now extremely clear. That was what he experienced personally when he was 3 years old 36 years ago. Holy Land Mariajoy Big Event. Chapter 83 Going Merry plus Straw Hat Luffy. Live, 1/7. East Blue Goa Kingdom. The chain reaction triggered by the High Town Noble incident continues. The entire Goa Kingdom has entered a state of total martial law, and free entry and exit is not allowed. Of course, this is for ordinary people. For Luo Lin, who now has complete control of the kingdom's underground forces, the so-called blockade is naturally useless. Witnessing the demise of Alok III's group of hateful people, little lowly Going Joe's inner grievances disappeared and returned to her usual lively state. In the group, only Vivi and Kaya were left. A princess, a eldest lady, is still secretly saddened by the tragic scene she saw that day. Especially Kaya. Never been to the sea before, always living in a small village, the eldest Miss Kaya, who has no worries of food and clothing, how can she know the darkness of the world? Seeing the dark side of the world for the first time, the impact on her thoughts can be imagined. If it weren't for the fact that Luo Lin was by his side, I'm afraid Kaya would be in bed again the next day because of excessive worry. In this regard, no matter how strong Luo Lin is, there is nothing he can do. Since choosing to go to sea, such experiences are inevitable. It is impossible for them to continue to be the flowers in the greenhouse, silly and sweet who don't know anything. Some things are always good to experience early. The last stop of the East Blue trip, the people to see and the things to do are over. Then, of course, it was time to leave. Under Robin's arrangement, the group quietly passed through the blockade between the Kingdom Guards and Marine and went to Windmill Village. Makino, the tavern owner's wife, seemed very happy about Roland's arrival. It's just that after seeing a group of beautiful girls beside Luo Lin, Makino's fair and pretty face flashed an imperceptible loss. After lunch with Makino's warm hospitality, it was time to leave. That guy Sabo is really outrageous. It's been a few days, and there is no communication. If he doesn't come back, let him find a boat to keep up. Koala said angrily. Koala, don't worry, our ship hasn't arrived yet, there's still some time. Robin smiled. Ah, there, my new ship is coming 1 inch. Going Joe, a little lowly with 2 braids, pointed to the 2 black spots on the sea in the distance and cheered happily. Soon, the 2 small black dots in the distance gradually enlarged, and finally stopped at the port of Windmill Village. Two light sailing ships. One is an ordinary standard sailboat without much special features. And the appearance of another ship, even Luo Lin was a little surprised. The bow is in the shape of a sheep's head. The familiar appearance is that of the Straw Hat's first ship, the Going Merry, presented by Mary, the sheep-head servant at Syrup Village. This time it's good. Not only the crew. Poor little Luffy can't even get a boat. Mary, this is the Mary that Mary has been building. She saw the appearance of the Going Merry. Kaya's originally gloomy expression suddenly burst into a splendid brilliance. The mental state of the whole person improved immediately. Little Kaya, here's a letter for you. Charge of taking over the Going Merry, handed Kaya the letter that came with the ship. On the letter, not only Usopp and Mary, but also many villagers, greetings and blessings to her. These greetings and blessings are like warm currents, completely dispelling the haze in Kaya's heart. After learning the origin of the new ship Going Merry, Vivi and Nami were also in a good mood. Can't wait to get on board. The boat is already in place. Just when Koala was about to leave Sabo in a fit of rage. Two conspicuous streaks of smoke appeared in the distance. It looks like someone is running. Hey, wait for us, Master, Sabo exclaimed. After about a minute, Sabo and the Straw Hat Boy rushed to the port out of breath. Tutor, my younger brother also wants to go to sea together, can I take him with me? Sabo gasped. Roland. Have to. It's really alive now. Even the captain himself was abducted. Luffy, are you leaving too? Shouldn't it be another 2 months? Roland was leaving, Sabo, who had just met, was leaving, and now even Luffy was leaving. Within a day, the 3 people who were reluctant to leave had to leave. Thinking of this, Makino's eyes turned red. To Makino's inner reluctance, the rough-hearted Luffy nodded unknowingly. I decided to go to Ace with Sabo first. And Sabo said that there are many powerful characters such as navigators, swordsmen, snipers, etc. in the uncle over there. By the way, there are also ships, so I'm going to go first. Luffy, who has always been unable to hide his words, is the one who confided the reason Sabo had previously encouraged him to go to sea. Luffy smiled at Luo Lin, who had a subtle expression on the side. Teacher, listen to my explanation. Without waiting for Sabo to explain, a knife of justice from Koala knocked his hat crooked. Okay, don't make trouble, let's all get on the boat. Luo Lin said. With Roland's intervention, the farce ended. Sabo and an excited Luffy also boarded the Going Merry. Last is Robin. Ms. Makino, do you want to come with us if you can't bear it? Robin smiled and invited Makino. Makino was at a loss for this sudden invitation. He quickly waved his hand. No, the only pub in the village still needs me to take care of it, and it won't work this time. Makino shook his head. Well, then see you next time. Robin waved goodbye, trotted 2 steps, and jumped onto the deck of the Going Merry. Goodbye, Luffy, Sabo and Mr. Roland. The coast, Makino wept silently, and waved goodbye to the Going Merry, which was gradually moving away. Really, after so many years, that guy still makes menu as always. The village chief Slap came to the coastal port at some point. Makino, why didn't you agree to that girl's invitation just now? Obviously you want to go too. What nonsense are you talking about, village chief grandpa? I don't have it. Makino stomped his feet. Your village chief grandfather's eyes are still very bright. He likes Qian Lihao. That guy has nothing to say. You must know that in that era, that guy was the dream of countless girls, Gia. Village chief Slap said with a pouting grin from Lemon 039. Oh, the village chief grandpa. No more, Mr. Roland is from the same era as Mr. Garp, my grandfather. Having said this, Makino couldn't help but look a little lower. So what, that guy looks young from the outside. Look around him, not all the little girls who are much younger than you. If you are worried that he will neglect you, come back and tell the village. Grandpa help you. Slap waved his cane. Oops, the village chief grandpa, you are getting more and more outrageous. I won't tell you. Makino stomped his foot and ran to the village. Hey, Makino, the Roland guy said, there will be a trade ship directly to the Great Route Alabasta coming to us at any time in the future, you can go anytime if you want. Slap said. Really? Makino, who didn't get far, stopped. Looking back at Ishobai Meisheng. Chapter 84, East Blue Harvest Inventory. Nami's shock. Roland had no idea about the conversation between Slap and Makino about the Windmill Village coastal port. At this moment, Luo Lin, who was standing on the deck of the Going Merry, vaguely felt a little unsatisfactory. Where exactly is it not complete? Think for a moment. Rollins was stunned. 039 pop. A snap of fingers. After a while, the sea near the Going Merry suddenly fluctuated violently. The next moment, a sea king with a tan body and blood-red eyes emerged from the sea, staring at everyone on board. For the sudden appearance of Neptune. Everyone on the deck, even timid girls like Kaya and Nami, did not have the slightest fear on their faces. Because they had already seen Roland treat the sea kings as pets more than once, and they would come and go as soon as they called them. Got used to. Koala, Sabo and Straw Hat teenagers who don't have this habit will not be frightened by this mere 100-meter sea king. To dare to attack us, you are really brave. Sabo rolled up his sleeves and covered his arms with dark armament hockey. Wait Sabo, this guy asked me to come. Optimist Straw Hat Xiao 803 grinned, his arms suddenly stretched back. Rubber, pistol. A powerful punch slammed into the face of the stunned Sea King. The King of the Sea, who once ate an arm of the red-haired four emperors, was kicked out from a distance. It is now complete. Just as Roland left Windmill Village on the Going Merry, a coffin boat arrives from the Goa Kingdom, which is closely guarded by Marine. Mr. Dracul Mahawk. Don't wait for Hawkeye to dock. Zala, with curly blue hair, stepped forward with a smile and bowed. The crocodile, no, is that man's subordinate. Eagle-eyed sharp eyes fell on Zala, recognizing her identity. I have seen it from a distance in the windless belt that day. Under the gaze of Hawkeye's falcon-like gaze, Zala's delicate body couldn't help Vivi stiffen. Where's your boss? Hawkeye looked away and asked. That's why I'm waiting here. Unfortunately, the president has already left and is now on his way back to Alabasta. Zala waved his hand apologetically. Hawkeye Mahawk, The president also said that if Mr. Mahawk wants to find him, he can go directly to Alabasta, Zala added. Got it. Hawkeye nodded, but did not leave. Not only did he not leave, he even went ashore directly. Mr. Mahawk, you Zala don't understand. I'm going to go up there and see. Eagle's sharp eyes looked in the direction of Gao Zhen. The photos you see in the newspapers are unreal after all. Now that he has come, he has to see with his own eyes and feel the sword intent left by that person. Under Zala's shocked attention, Mahawk, the world's greatest swordsman, cut through the layers of roadblocks leading to the entrance to the high town. One person, one knife, straight in. Unstoppable. The 1-month East Blue tour is over. After instructing Crocodile to take charge of the aftermath work of East Blue, Luo Lin took the Going Merry and took a group of new members on the road to return ahead of schedule. The Sea King tugboat business in the windless zone has been basically perfected. But Roland didn't plan to take the windless belt this time. Instead, it's been a long time to go over the magical upside-down mountain and go to the starting point of the Great Route. By the way, you can also see old friends there after a long absence. Going Merry went straight for 3 days in the direction of the Red Soil continent. Day to reach the entrance of Upside Down Mountain. New ship Going Merry is still there. Somehow, Nami and Luffy AJEF on board were even more happy with the Going Merry than Kaya. Next is Robin and Vivi. It's just that this inexplicable joy, even they themselves can't feel it. The reason for this, in this world, I am afraid that only Luo Lin knows and knows. even if the trajectory of the plot has shifted by 108,000 miles. But fate is such a thing, who can say clearly? Example, the current going merry. Joy boy, who sits on the sheep's head and looks up at the sky across 800 years. Uncle, the results of our trip to East Blue have basically come out. At this moment, Robin Lien, who had ended the communication with the phone bug, moved lightly and came to Luo Lin's side. Then just talk about it. Yes. Robin nodded. The Alabasta specialty that our workgroup brought East Blue to trade brought us a total of 1 billion profit. In addition, the cleaning of the East Blue pirates adds up to 1.5 billion. Adding up to 250 million, it's so much. In the middle of the report, it was naturally the little girl Nami who had a deep love for money. Robin, you go on. Roland glanced at Nami, whose eyes were all in the shape of money, and shook his head helplessly. The above are just the appetizers. The biggest gain of our trip to East Blue came from those underground dark forces. The number of ships of our society has grown from the initial 30 ships to more than 500 ships after continuous collection. 500 ships. Nami's beautiful eyes widened even more. Even at the most common market price, a sailboat costs 10 million yuan, which is already 5 billion yuan. You must know that Nami has worked hard for 10 years to save 100 million. 5 billion, how many years is that? Sure enough, it was the right decision to follow Brother Rolling. It's out now. The wealthy Nami thought happily. The treasures, goods and other rare items harvested from the dark forces of East Blue, if the cumulative conversion is converted into berry, it is about 2,700. Robin continued to report. 27 million. Not a lot. There are already so many ships anyway. Nami said to herself. Robin glanced at Nami and corrected. It's not 27 million, it's 270 billion. What? Nami's voice rose an octave. The expression on the pretty face was almost dull. Her delicate ears moved even more, suspecting that she had heard it wrong. However, looking at Robin's affirmative eyes, Nami knew that she had heard it right. 270 billion. Oh ye God. OMG. Nami finally couldn't help but scream. Chapter 85 Twin Cape, Old Friends and Skeleton Ghosts. 270 billion. Oh ye God. My God. Down pointing arrow. When sure Robin wasn't wrong. When it was really 270 billion and not 27 million. Nami was completely shocked. Subconsciously came a triple surprise. The sound was so loud that Robin, who was in front of Ling, couldn't help covering his ears and shook his head helplessly. What's the matter? What's wrong? Nami's exclamation also attracted the attention of the others on the boat. Luffy, who was sitting on the sheep's head and looking up at the sky, stretched out his arms and was the first to eject. Nami, do you want to be my navigator? Luffy asked for the nth time. 039 bang 039. From Nami's, Tekken 039, the punch was to knock Luffy down to a deck, causing Sabo's merciless mockery. Nami, what did you just say about 2,700? Vivi, Kaya and Koala went to the second deck. 270 billion, it's 270 billion. Nami danced and repeated the shocking number. So the fair faces of Vivi and Kaya were gradually covered by shock. As the richest man in Syrup Village, the assets of Kaya's family are about a small target. As the Princess of Alabasta, Vivi has a higher level than the others. But at the moment, he was also shocked. After all, that's 270 billion. It feels a little less. It's really a little less. At this time, it was naturally Sabo and Koala who said this. As a result, the suspicious eyes of Nami and the others immediately fell on Koala. Not really much. Luo Lin also nodded. It's 270 billion even for Luo Lin, which is already an astronomical figure. Nami said. Nami, what the mentor took away this time was not one or two dark forces, but the entire underground world of East Blue. Koala explained. In this world, the world government and Tenryubito, celestial gold add up to trillions each year. The world government is the fattest pig, and the second is the underground dark forces that control all kinds of illegal businesses. Their assets are much more than the big pirates in the New World. They are really fat and oily. That's right, according to the estimates of our Revolutionary Army, the assets of the dark forces branches in the South Blue, West Blue, and North Blue regions add up to at least 1 trillion, which is more than 4 times that of East Blue. Sabo added. Trillion. Nami was completely dumbfounded. There is no concept of how many trillion berries are, and it is unimaginable. Little girl Nami, with such a small amount of money to scare you into this, how can you manage the financial power of the work club in the future? Luo Lin joked. The financial power of the work club. I'll take care of it. Nami pointed to herself in disbelief. What? If you don't want to, I'll find someone else. Roland said. I will. Nami nodded her head like a chicken pecking at rice. Brother Roland, you are so kind. Nami, who was full of surprises, regardless of the presence of others, threw herself on Roland and rubbed happily. Vivi, Kaya and even Robin who watched this scene couldn't help but envy. All right, little girl Nami, hurry up. Being watched by so many people, Nami didn't feel it, but Luo Lin's old face couldn't hold it anymore. He. Sabo, the single dog on the first deck, saw Luo Lin's embarrassment and couldn't help but smile. For the schadenfreude of Sabo's children, Luo Lin naturally. Sabo, you should be familiar with South Blue too. Ah. Sabo snorted subconsciously. Then the next South Blue operation is under your full command. Huh. Sabo was a little overwhelmed by Roland's sudden appointment. Don't worry, I will let the little crocodile help you, and there is Kuro of 100 plans. If you encounter difficulties, you can let him give you an idea and look forward to your performance. Roland said. Yoo-hoo, Sabo, this is the first task your mentor has given you, so be good. Koala winked playfully. Okay, promise to complete the mission. Sabo agreed firmly. Luffy, do your brother a favor this time, and I'll send you a boat later. Okay, Sabo. The Straw Hat Boy was bought. The day passed quickly. Blink of an eye. The Going Merry carrying Roland traveled across Logatown to the entrance to Upside Down Mountain on the Great Route. Heavy cumulonimbus clouds hung over the sky. The pouring rain poured down without warning, causing the sea to swell, and the waves came one after another. Not long after, 2 crimson and towering continental walls appeared in Yi Xiao's line of sight. And between the red soil continents, a canal rushes upstream under the traction of special magnetic force. The climbing canal of the upside-down mountain is a spectacle that will be breathtaking no matter how many times you watch it. Go away. Roland whispered softly, and controlled the Going Merry to enter from the middle of the canal impartially. Flowers. Climbing to the top of the mountain against the wind and rain. Ah, that's the upside-down mountain. The other side is the Great Route. Although it's not quite what I imagined, it really feels the best. Straw Hat Luffy stood on the sheep's head, facing the violent storm. Excited shouting. Not just Luffy. Except for Roland, everyone on the boat climbed the upside-down mountain for the first time. At this moment, there was an undisguised excitement on his face. Everyone, listen to me. After overturning the upside-down mountain, you will reach the Twin Cape, the starting point of the Great Route. There are many legends there. Vivi pretended to be mysterious and began to tell the story. Legends. What legends are there? Kaya blinked curiously. Hee. First of all, there will occasionally be a towering wall at the entrance of Upside Down Mountain. Once the ship hits it, it will collapse and disintegrate immediately. I don't know if we will encounter it this time. Vivi said. 0. Hey and if you run into it, it won't be good. Nami was stunned. Little Nami, don't listen to Vivi's nonsense. That wall is actually only an island whale produced in West Blue. That's the pet of the old man in the lighthouse, and under normal circumstances, it won't block people on purpose. Robin explained. That's good, that's good. Kaya patted Su Xie in fear. Well, that's really an island whale, but oh, there's another legend there, a really incredible one. Vivi said. It is said that on the night of Twin Cape, in the dark depths where the light of the lighthouse cannot be illuminated, there will be the sound of skeletons walking around with violins every night, and even if you are lucky, you can even see green ghosts floating in the air, floating, floating, floating. Vivi vividly described his experiences at Baroque Works. Two little girls Nami and Kaya changed their colors. Little lowly-going Joe even hugged Luo Lin's thigh directly. Although she is a senior agent, it is the first time she has heard of such market rumors. A little lowly at this age is naturally very afraid of ghosts. Unlike the fears of the little girls, Luffy and Sabo, who first heard the strange legend of the lighthouse, had their eyes lit up, eager to try. Violin-playing skeletons, and ghosts. I really want to take a look. Brothers Sabo and Luffy spoke in unison. Skull and ghost legends, indeed. Luo Lin smiled. It's been 40 years since we parted back then. Crocus, Laboon and A. Brook. Chapter 86, Crocus and Brook. Oh. You can already see the sky. The great root, here I come. The high voice of the hot-blooded boy Luffy, the Going Merry broke through the barrier of the cumulonimbus. In an instant, the sky brightened. So beautiful. Standing on the highest point of Upside Down Mountain and looking at the boundless sea, little girls such as Vivi and Nami couldn't help but be amazed. However, their calm was only for a while. Next second. When the Going Merry bowed down, it began to fall, and was driven down rapidly by the current. Ah! The screams of the girls came one after another. Fortunately, this final steep slope is not too big. In just 1 minute before and after, the Going Merry rushed into a stable straight. The start of the Great Route, the Twin Cape has arrived. Is it there yet? 823, should be here. Is this the Twin Cape? Yes, we have reached the Great Route safely. The little girls hugged one after another. After they were sure that they had successfully achieved the achievement of overturning the upside-down mountain, the mood of the little girls suddenly became beautiful. After they were happy, Nami and Kaya looked around as if they were looking for something. Vivi, Miss Robin, didn't you say there are whales bigger than the island? Why not? Looking at the quiet Twin Cape, Nami couldn't help but wonder. Don't worry, little girl Nami, it's coming soon. It wasn't Robin who answered Nami's question, it was Roland. Swish 039. In the blink of an eye, Luo Lin had already stood firmly at the top of the mast. 039 rumbling 039. The next moment, a violent roar suddenly came from under the sea. Calm sea rises, circles of ripples. Then the sea suddenly swelled, as if some behemoth was about to jump out of the sea. Huge waves pushed the Going Merry to withdraw more than 100 meters backwards. Gao! The behemoth that quickly surfaced to the sea let out a cry of joy. The sharp sound waves came, deafening and making the little girls on the boat cover their ears invariably. That's the real body of Wall 039. Is that an island whale? It's really big. It's bigger than a small island. Nami, Vivi and Kaya exclaimed in amazement. Gao! Huge island whale Laboon looked at Luo Lin standing at the top of the mast without blinking, and made a cry of joy again. It still remembers. 40 years ago, when it was desperate because the Rumba pirates had not returned for a long time, it was this person, Luo Lin, who brought He 039 and them back. Laboon, you really have grown up. Luo Lin said. Gao! Laboon responded with a cry. There is joy and gratitude in the voice and nostalgia. It seems to be asking why you haven't come back to see me for so many years. Obviously it was said before. All right, Laboon, stop screaming, there are still some little girls on the boat here. Roland reassured. Jiao Giao Giao. Laboon called 3 times in succession to show that he knew. Roland. Jiao Giao Giao, Laboon, it's so noisy, you've wasted the rare nap time of the old man. Laboon, shouts disturbed not only Nami and the others on the boat, but also a certain flower, no, someone who was taking a leisurely nap in the lighthouse on the shore at this time. Well, it turns out that another boat is coming down. Laboon, how many times have I told you? Let them pass by, don't get in the way, and be obedient. The old man with the flower-like decoration behind his head shouted loudly. After that, I will continue to take a nap. Yo, Crocus, haven't seen you in decades, don't even plan to say hello. Roland at the top of the mast shouted to the old man of the lighthouse. It wasn't until Roland spoke that the confused Crocus rubbed his confused eyes and looked at the mast of the Going Merry. After seeing the Roland standing there, Crocus's body suddenly froze. It's really you. Crocus's voice rose more than an octave, the old man's eyes widened. About taking a nap, Crocus turned over and fell directly from the lighthouse 039 more than 10 meters high. However, without waiting for Nami and the others to whisper, the next moment, Crocus stood firmly on the ground. As a former crew member of One Piece, King of Pirates, it is natural to have this skill. It's really you. You're still alive, not dead. Crocus looked at Roland, who had come to him, and called again. Hey, curse me to death as soon as we meet, you're the second one, Crocus. Roland grinned. Ha ha ha, okay, this is really great, I just said how could you be dead? You are immortal. Crocus laughed happily and gave Roland a big hug after 40 years. I still remember that 40 years ago, Roland and Garp climbed the upside-down mountain for the first time and met the young him and Laboon. At that time, he was just casually telling the story of Laboon and the Rumba pirates. This young marine is here to help. Crocus just smiled at the time. Didn't care too much. However, in just 3 months, Roland really brought back the Rumba Pirates 039. It was for this reason that, for the first time, Crocus had a great admiration for this marine who was about his age. However, who would have thought that the goodbye would last 40 years? Crocus had thought he would never have a chance to meet in this life. However today. Okay. Crocus stared at Roland closely, tears flashing. Brother Roland is friends with that fancy uncle. According to what they said, it seems that we haven't seen each other for decades, but how is this possible? Brother Luo Ling doesn't seem to be even 30 years old. The trio of Vivi, Nami, and Kaya all looked puzzled. Okay, 52, don't think about it, you'll find out later. Robin said. Yeah, we'll all know about the mentor's past in the future, Koala echoed. The three of Vivi nodded confusedly, and then did not continue to delve into this issue. Uncle like a flower, I heard that you have skeletons who can play the violin and green ghosts, is this true? Luffy, the young straw hat, attracted everyone's attention. Young man, Crocus was about to answer. Crocus' eyes widened when he saw the familiar straw hat on Luffy's head. Hey, uncle, is there any skeletons who can play the violin? Luffy asked curiously. Some. Crocus nodded. When day and night meet, it's time for the return of the skeleton. Chapter 87. He is the partner of One Piece, King of Pirates. Because of the reunion between Roland and Crocus, old friend after 40 years. It is also because of the curiosity of the Straw Hat Boy and the little girls such as Vivi and Nami. The group decided to spend a special night of excitement on the lighthouse coast. After a long absence, it is natural to have good wine and good food. A wide variety of wines from all over East Blue are stored on the Going Merry, which is now in one place. On the bonfire on the coast, Koala and Robin were skillfully roasting all kinds of sea beast meat. The fragrance was overflowing, and Luffy, who was lying on the side like a puppy, immediately salivated 3,000 feet. Ha ha ha. On the other side, Roland and Crocus, who had already served the barbecue, were holding wine bottles and blowing boldly against each other. After 5 bottles of spirits, Crocus' old face turned red, and he was already a little drunk. Captain Roger, the person you are talking about, the one who appeared at the right place at the right time, spanning 800 years, is that boy, hiccup. In him, I saw your shadow, and that straw hat. That kid Shanks must think so too, so he will entrust his will to him. Drunk-eyed Crocus' eyes fell on Luffy, who was happily eating meat not far away, and unconsciously came to his mind what he witnessed on the last island, laughed Tail, more than 20 years ago. And One Piece King of Pirates Roger's tearful regretful laugh at the end. Ah, yeah, Straw Hat Luffy, Joy Boy spanning 800 years. Roland casually took over what Crocus was muttering to himself. Crocus nodded sympathetically. Next second, however, the expression on Crocus' face froze. Do you know Joey Boy? Crocus looked shocked. Sure, didn't that guy Roger tell you? I know a lot. Roland had a subtle smile on his face. For example, Crocus, I helped you bring the Rumpa Pirates back 40 years ago, but you didn't even work as a ship doctor on my ship, but more than 20 years ago, you were pulled on board by Roger to become a pirate. You even know this. Didn't you disappear at that time? Crocus said in disbelief. Whoever ordered me to disappear can't know these things. Luo Lin gave him a sideways glance. I chose to get on the boat with Roger at that time. It was to save people. He has not lived long. I asked you to be Marine when I asked you to save people. Nonsense. You clearly want me to help you develop poison to kill. I'm a doctor, not a poison master. Crocus was a little angry when he thought of Roland's excessive 039 requirements. After all, who would ask a doctor how to commit suicide successfully? Except for the guy in front of him. She just wanted to show off her immortality in front of others. Hey, Roland, it's you. What happened 36 years ago? When I went to sea on Roger's ship, I was thinking of looking for you. I met Garp at sea a few times that year, but he didn't tell me. Crocus asked. A mortal body, Roland said. Sure enough. Crocus slammed his right fist on the ground, causing a crack in the ground. I just said that at that time, as a Marine hero, how could you, who carried the most prominent military exploits, suddenly disappear without a trace, and even the traces of existence were erased? Everything is the world government doing the trick. I knew that sooner or later you would be targeted by those greedy guys, so you can keep a low profile and you won't listen. Crocus spoke angrily. I also want to keep a low profile, but my strength doesn't allow it. Luo Lin waved his hand. Quote. Yo ho ho, yo ho ho. Yo ho ho, yo ho ho. The time for Binks' wine feast always flies. Before you know it, the sun has set. Darkness appears. As Crocus said. When day and night change, the ghosts return. A misty mist rose in the jungle not far away. Makes everything blurred in people's sight. Immediately after. The melodious pirate song, accompanied by the sound of the violin, drifted out of the dense forest and echoed over the Twin Cape for a long time. Gao. Laboon, the giant island whale, made an excited call. Out. A violin-playing skeleton, Nami exclaimed. It really did. Vivi did the same. Skulls really move. Kaya's body stiffened. In addition, the little lowly-going Joe hugged Luo Lin's thigh again. The boy in the straw hat gleamed, and Sabo was amazed. As for Robin and Koala, they have the same expressions of contemplation, and I always feel that the skeleton is a little familiar. Flowers. With the appearance of the white-boned skeleton in the jungle who was playing the violin and singing the song of the pirates, the atmosphere at the scene was stagnant. Even the temperature in the air dropped by more than 10 degrees with his appearance. The originally lively banquet has gradually developed into a gloomy direction. After a few minutes, the song is over. The skeleton musician who walked out of the dense forest mist gave a standard gentleman's salute to everyone present. He, Crocus, tonight is really lively, especially with so many beautiful little girls, so let me ask a question here, little girls, I wonder if you can take a look. 039 bang. Just as the skeleton musician prepares the customary politeness to make an outrageous plea, Justice from Crocus punches him to the ground. There was a fist-sized bag on the head that was obviously a bone. "Brooke, look who's here today," Crocus reminded. "Yo, Brooke, haven't seen you for years, you still haven't changed at all." Roland came to Brooke with little lowly going Joe. Scared the little lowly to bury her head in Luo Lin's clothes. "You." Brooke got up and stared straight at Mr. Roland. "Mr. Roland, with his empty and dark eye sockets, you are Mr. Roland." Finally, Brooke recognized the benefactor who brought him out of the Devil's Triangle 40 years ago and brought him to Laboon the Whale. For a time, shock and surprise were intertwined, and Brooke was at a loss. He opened his arms, wanting to hug Roland like Crocus. In the end, before she could hug her, little Lolita Going Joe was frightened by the approaching cold and cried. Brooke sneered at Isho, touched the explosive head, and had to give up. "Ah, I remember." At this moment, Koala suddenly let out a coquettish cry, and a look of shock appeared on her pretty face. "It seems that you think the same as me, Koala." Robin's pretty face couldn't hide the shock. "Koala, Miss Robin, what did you think of?" Sabo asked curiously. "Idiot Sabo, it's so obvious that you haven't recognized it yet. This skeleton musician with only bones left after death is exactly Brooke, the swordsman of Wonkwon on One Piece, king of pirates Roger more than 20 years ago." Quote. "What did you say?" the crowd exclaimed in unison. Chapter 88 Captain Roger was his little brother. 6/7 for subscription. One Piece King of Pirates Gold Roger, that's a legend. He was the first man in the world to completely conquer the Great Route. Before his death, he started the magnificent era of great pirates with his own power. Roger is a legend. Roger pirates he led are also legendary. Also known are One Piece King of Pirates Roger's right hand Hades Rayleigh and left hand Spark Gabon. A former Roger Corps intern, now the red-haired Shanks, Emperor of the Sea. Etc., etc. It has been more than 20 years since the Roger pirates disbanded and died. Most of them have long since died. Even if they are not dead, they have long faded out of people's sight and lived an unknown life of seclusion. For the former crew of One Piece King of Pirates, many people at sea may have heard their names. But for their appearance, not many people in the sea can remember. Even if they stood face to face, many people in Sabayati would not know that the old man with excellent coding skills was actually the legendary Hades Rayleigh. Of course, there is only one exception. That was the musician who used to be on the Roger Pirates ship. Brooke, known by the world as Huang Quan Jianao. There is no reason for him, it is because he is too special. When he died, only a handful of white bones remained, and he came back to life with the power of Wangquan fruit. Such a special being exists, and he is the only one in this world. Oh, 9 bones, skeletons, musicians. When these characteristics are matched. Robin and Koala, who are familiar with major historical events over the years, can no longer recognize Brooke's identity. He's the crew of One Piece King of Pirates Roger. When Koala's exclamation fell, the whole place was silent at first. Then there was a thunderous roar. Nani? Luffy craned his neck, mouth and eyes wide open. Luffy, the Straw Hat who aspires to be One Piece King of Pirates, One Piece King of Pirates Roger has an irreplaceable position in his heart. Now that I finally set sail, I met the crew of One Piece King of Pirates within a few days. How could this not shock Luffy? Besides, when I saw the skeleton musician earlier, Luffy still wanted to take Brooke as a partner and go out to sea together. This skeleton is actually a partner of One Piece King of Pirates. Nami exclaimed. I seem to have a bit of an impression of Brooke, the legendary swordsman on the One Piece King of Pirates. Vivi looked thoughtful. Then he's not a ghost, but a real person. Kaya said weakly. He, little girl, don't look at me like this, I'm actually still alive, a living person. Brooke laughed. The crew of One Piece King of Pirates, living legends. Sabo couldn't help but marvel. A member of the legend, he must have been to the final island and learned the truth. Robin's pretty face couldn't help but get excited. She had an urge to go and ask Brooke about the 100-year history of the blank. But at the last minute, Robin held back. Because she thought of the second wish she made to Luo Lin. And glanced at Roland, but was surprised to find that Roland was not surprised or surprised by Brooke's identity. That's the truth. Since Crocus is still on Roger's ship as a ship doctor, Brooke, who was brought here 40 years ago by him, naturally wouldn't be left alone. Rumba Pirates and Laboon was only half completed. The other half is to circle the whole world. So more than 20 years ago, Brooke boarded Roger's ship with the wishes of all the members of the Rumba Pirates, and even broke into the identity of a Wonquan swordsman. Even with Roland's intervention, his fortunes have changed dramatically. But the fate of the One Piece King of Pirates crew on Brooke remains the same. The only thing that has changed is the former One Piece King of Pirates partner or the post-One Piece King of Pirates partner. The truth of the skeleton ghost revealed. Plus Brooke's legendary identity. The little girls on the boat were no longer afraid of the living skeleton. Instead, the conversation became more and more enjoyable. Hey, little girls, it's not just me, the one next to me was also the ship doctor on the Roger ship. Brooke pointed to Crocus. Approximately equals tilde. Everyone was shocked again and dragged the end. Mr. Crocus is also a crew member of One Piece King of Pirates. I saw 2 living legends in one day. We are so lucky. The little girls were amazed. Crocus, the flower-like lighthouse old man, suddenly grew taller. Mr. Crocus, you are the ship doctor on the One Piece King of Pirates, so your medical skills must be very good. Kaya's eyes were bright. It's okay. Crocus was not without a sigh of relief. Then can you teach me? I want to be a doctor, Kaya begged bluntly. At Syrup Village, Kaya's day-to-day life was very different from before. I had a great trip with my friends like Roland and Nami. But gradually, Kaya discovered a huge problem. That is, everyone on board has something to do. Nami can sail and manage money. Sister Robin is the big housekeeper and can do anything. Vivi turned out to be a princess, and she will become a queen in the future to help Luo Lin. Little Lolita Going Joe is a natural superpower who is incomparable among thousands of people. In contrast, only she can do nothing. Even to be protected by other partners in every possible way. After realizing this, Kaya couldn't help but feel anxious. She didn't want to be a drag on the boat. She also wants to be someone useful to everyone, someone useful to Luo Lin. After thinking about everything, Kaya finally made a decision today. She wants to study medicine. For Kaya's decision, no matter whether it was Roland, Robin, Nami, etc., everyone did not say anything. He expressed support. Looking at the firm eyes of little girl Kaya, Crocus wanted to point at Luo Lin and say that this guy doesn't really need a ship doctor on board, but in the end he couldn't bear to say it, which hurt the little girl's confidence. Little girl, of course I'd be happy to accept you as an apprentice, but the old man is poor here, and the teaching facilities are completely poor. Crocus clapped his hands. That's easy, follow me back to Alabasta, and I'll build a research institute for you. Luo Lindau. Crocus. Is this trying to trick me out of the mountain? In that case, don't blame me for being rude. Issue of Crocus Cunning 039. Little girl, don't worry, I also know a top doctor in the world. She lives in a medically developed magnetic drum country. If you go to her, you will definitely learn a lot of knowledge, and this and that in your family. It's also an old acquaintance. With his relationship, that one will accept you. Crocus laughed. So Roland's face turned black. Really? Willows are dark and the flowers are bright, and Kaya's eyes that have been dimmed in the original 887 book suddenly light up again. Drum country, there are indeed many events there, and it's not far from Alabasta. You can arrive in a few days. Vivi nodded in agreement. Rolingo. For Kaya's dream, Nami, Vivi and others all looked at Luo Lin with hope. Alright, all right. Although he didn't want to see the old woman who likes to eat tender grass, Luo Lin really couldn't be ruthless to kill the dream of little girl Kaya. Very good, thank you, Brother Rolling. So Kaya, like Nami a few days ago, threw herself on Roland and acted like a spoiled child. Ha 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 ha. The scene was joyous. 3 rounds of wine. Everyone was a little drunk. Nami hiccuped, and her little head flashed, as if she had thought of something. Hey, Mr. Brook and Mr. Crocus, you and Brother Rolling seem to have known each other a long time ago, so is it that Brother Rolling was a partner of One Piece King of Pirates before? When Nami's questions came out one by one, the ears of Vivi, Kaya, Koala and others all perked up. Even Robin was interested. Brook and Crocus first glanced at Roland, who was still drinking calmly, then looked at each other again, and then laughed. Huh, what's so funny? Vivi wondered. Hey, don't worry about it, we just suddenly thought of something interesting, Brook said. Then Rolling is a partner of One Piece King of Pirates? Nami asked. Of course not, but our Captain Roger used to be this guy's little brother. Crocus laughed. Ah tilde. Chapter 89 Rare Domineering Unparalleled in the World. Ah tilde Shinkson. Nami, Vivi and other little girls raised their voices more than an octave again. Rolling is the big brother of that One Piece King of Pirates Roger. That legendary One Piece King of Pirates is Rolling's younger brother. Hearing the news revealed by Crocus, big question marks appeared on the heads of everyone present. The expressions on the faces of the Straw Hat Boy monkeyed Luffy and his brother Sabo are even more peaks. Mr. Crocus, can't be mistaken. Robin couldn't help speaking. Because she thought of Roland's identity. One is Marine Vice Admiral and the other is Big Pirate. How could there be a big brother and little brother relationship between these two people? If it is true. That's crazy too. Hey, little girl, Crocus isn't talking nonsense. This is what Captain Roger said when he was drunk more than 20 years ago. After drinking, it can be false. Brook laughed. Although Brook and I got on the ship a little late and didn't see the scene with our own eyes, the others on the ship, Deputy Captain Rayleigh, Gabon, they all saw Captain Roger chasing after this guy to recognize the big brother. Crocus pointed out, pointing to Rollins. Therefore, everyone's eyes fell on Luo Lin. Accidents are just some accidents. Roland grinned, but did not deny that past. Everyone, wow tilde. Rolling brother, please tell us carefully, what's going on? Why did the One Piece King of Pirates Roger recognize the mentor as the big brother? Sure enough, the mentor is even more powerful than the One Piece King of Pirates. Under the ardent gazes of all the little girls, Luo Lin had to pick up some clips from the past and talk about it casually. Although it was only a few words, the impact on everyone was huge. Until midnight. The little girls who had been excited for a long time finally fell asleep one by one under the dual influence of sleepiness and alcoholism. After taking the little girls back to the boat to rest in pairs, Luo Lin's ears were finally quieter. Come on, keep walking one. Crocus threw a bottle of wine at Roland. The change that Captain Roger is talking about is in this era. I thought it was the Joy Boy named Luffy 6, but when you show up, maybe things will be different. Crocus said. He, Mr. Roland, you probably won't go back to Marine, Brook asked. Ah, not going back. Luo Lin took a sip of wine. Had torn face with the world government 36 years ago. Good. Crocus said hello. If there is a need in the future, I will send Brook to represent me. Crocus said righteously. Roland, Brook. It sounds so nice on the lips, but I still want to come. Brook murmured inwardly. But, Mr. Roland, I haven't had time to repay the kindness I gave 40 years ago. If I need it this time, I can still use my old bones. I have become a lot stronger over the years. Yo hee. Brook patted the bone. Then I won't be polite to you. Ha, yo ha. The next day is dawn. Going merry set off against the bright morning glow. Twin Cape Lighthouse. Brooke and Crocus watched the Going Merry go away with emotion. That guy is back, the world is going to be exciting, and it won't be boring anymore. Crocus said. He, who said it wasn't? Brooke laughed. If Captain Roger was still alive, he would be laughing with joy. Going Merry, which had been lively for many days, had a rare quiet day. It's almost noon. The little girls on the boat were still hungover. Aside from Roland on the deck, there were only two big men, Luffy and Sabo, who were caught as coolies and half asleep and in charge of sailing. Another hour passed. From the cabin that belongs to the top secret space of the little girls, various voices are heard. After a while, the well-dressed little girls walked out of the cabin one after another. All of them were not in good spirits because of the hangover. Brother Luo Ling, where are you now? Are you going directly to the Drum Country? Nami asked. Drum Country is a winter island. Everyone remember to wear more clothes. Vivi reminded. It's still early. Before I go to the Drum Country, I still have one place to go. Luo Lin said. Where? Robin asked. Prehistoric Island, Little Garden. Go there first to meet two old friends. Roland replied. Alas, tilde approximately equals tilde there are old friends again. Don't tell me there are two friends of One Piece King of Pirates hiding there too. Koala and the others were all shocked. No. Rarely, little lowly going Joe spoke up. The prehistoric island, known as the Little Garden, lives on two big pirates with a bounty of over 100 million. Little lowly going Joe described with exaggerated body movements. Everyone was immediately puzzled. Although the pirates with a reward of over 100 million are indeed big pirates. But not so much, big. On the boat, only Luo Lin and Robin knew what Going Joe said, was referring to. Because they are really big. After all, they are all giants over 20 meters tall. One day later. On the Going Merry, a huge island appeared in the sight of Luo Lin and his party. Prehistoric Island Little Garden has arrived. 039 bang 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 039. Waiting for Luffy's children to explore this ancient island with high interest. The volcano in the center of the island suddenly made a violent roar, and a fiery red meteor erupted from the crater. At the same time, on both sides of the island, two giants over 20 meters tall moved. When the volcano erupted, their duel began. Gup gaga, Brigitte, the central volcano erupted again. It's time for our duel. You still don't get up, do you want to admit defeat? Loud laughter, accompanied by shaking footsteps, resounded over this prehistoric island Little Garden, which retains the ancient climate. Wearing old warrior armor, wearing a helmet, the giant blue ogre Dory with long beard and waist strides forward. Baba, Dory, what are you talking about in your sleep? I've been waiting for a long time. This is our 73,324th duel, and the one who will win will definitely be me. In the other direction, the sturdy giant who is not inferior to Blue Ogre Dory in size, the red ghost Brigitte walked over with a big smile. The two giants gradually approached the central battlefield from both sides of the island. There are calm and confident smiles on their faces, like old friends getting together, and it is completely impossible to see that they are about to duel. However, as the two approached, two powerful auras rose from the two giants. The invisible war intent was rising and surging, causing the ancient Tyrannosaurus and other creatures on the island to tremble. Gup gaga gaga. Baba. Blue Ogre Dory and Red Ghost Brigitte. The two former captains of the giant soldiers pirates have been fighting for 100 years, which is still going on today. In a burst of deafening laughter, the two giants raised their fists at the same time and hit each other's body without leaving a trace. Dozens of fists the size of sandbags staggered in midair, and two diametrically opposed fist winds whizzed past, blowing the air into the sky. Dong 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 039. At this moment, another voice sounded that was not inferior to the two giants in terms of the heavy footsteps. The largest Brachiosaurus leader on prehistoric island, running at a speed he may never reach in his life. Whether it was a big tree or a Tyrannosaurus blocking the way, they all flew under the hoof of the Brachiosaurus leader. Dory and Brigitte turned their heads instinctively, looking at the Brachiosaurus leader who was running wildly in shock. There was a look of consternation on his face, and he couldn't figure out what the madness of the Brachiosaurus leader was going on today. It is clear that these ancient creatures on the island have avoided far away when they duel, money is good, for the past 100 years. Could it be that the wind is blowing today? Regardless of whether the Brachiosaurus leader is convulsed or not. Both Dory and Brigitte's fists would not be retracted, but they still slammed out firmly. At this moment, a vague shadow flashed from the head of the Brachiosaurus leader. Top speed. Everywhere it passed, there was a slight popping sound in the air. 039 boom 039 039 boom 039. Two violent roars sounded in succession. Dory and Brigitte were horrified to find that their fists didn't land on each other. Halfway through, their fists were blocked by some powerful force. Before the two giants could find out, the shock wave of the second wave of fist power hit. The solid ground beneath the feet of the two giants cracked and collapsed. The dense virgin forest was a mess in an instant, raising the yellow sand and dust all over the sky. There was a sudden wind blowing between the heavens and the earth, blowing away the dust that was rising in the sky. Who showed his open hands inside? Block a giant's punch with one hand. That gesture, rare in the world. Domineering. Lying plus, cow batch. Sabo and Luffy shouted in unison at the same time. Chapter 90 Boxing Rout of Elbaf's Gun, Hakoku. 039 boom 039 039 boom 039. Two dull crashing sounds resounded through the sky of this prehistoric island at almost the same time. The earth cracked open under terrifying force. Trees within a radius of 100 meters rose to the ground under the shock wave of power. There are yellow sand flying in the sky. For a long time, the powerful shock wave dissipated. The dust in the sky is also dissipated under the blowing of the strong wind, air. Heaven and earth are clear. So the captains of the two giants, Blue Ogre Dory and Brigitte the Red Ghost, were shocked to find that their fists did not touch. There was still a gap between their two huge fists. Is there a person in the gap? How sacred is it to be able to block our giant punch at the same time? After realizing this, Blue Ogre Dory and Brigitte, the two giant pirates who had offered a bounty of over 100 million 100 years ago, were already filled with emotions called shock. They were giants, and the best of the Elbaf giants. The two captains of the giant soldiers pirates. In terms of strength, they are naturally hundreds of times stronger than ordinary humans. Their heavy punches enough to sink a marine warship. However, now, it was actually blocked by a human being alone. This power cannot be possessed by monsters. Bed. Tudor cow. At this moment, the biggest Brachiosaurus leader of the 310 islands shouted from his back. It was Sabo and Luffy, yelling excitedly. Giant, that's a real giant, so big. The youthful Straw Hat Luffy's eyes lit up, and he was extremely excited. If my fist could be as big as a giant, how powerful would my rubber pistol be? Straw Hat Luffy's head flashed, and he had the idea of developing a third gear in advance. The mentor is bullshit. Sabo yelled at the noise. At this moment, even if he has read a lot, the only adjectives he can think of in his mind are the words 039 cattle batch. Brother Rolling is amazing. Brother Rolling blocked the attack of the two giants. As expected of someone who even calls One Piece King of Pirates Big Brother, this power is unparalleled. Vivi, Nami, and Koala on the back of Brachiosaurus were also amazed. Looking at Luo Lin who was standing in the middle of the giant's fist, his beautiful eyes were full of brilliance. Tudor. Roland. Captains of the two giants, Blue Ogre Dory and Brigitte, the Red Ghost, were confused. At the same time as they retracted their fists, their eyes fell to the intersection of their fists again. Without the obstruction of their huge fists, a figure finally came into their sight. Although it is human, it is able to stand firmly in the sky. Such as Ajeb is the same as the immortal and independent fairy in mythology. This person. The face has that familiar name. Two giants, the blue ogre Dory and the red ghost Brigitte, gradually became shocked and excited on their big faces. After a while. You are the man from 40 years ago, Roland. The captains of the two giants shouted in shock. Doubts are clear. Of course ordinary humans couldn't stop their fists. But if it was Roland, then there would be no surprise at all. Because as early as 40 years ago, this monster guy was able to do it. Dory, Brigitte, you two guys are still fighting. Roland smiled and looked at the two giants. Guk gaga gaga, gaba baba. Both captains of the two giants scratched their heads subconsciously. Isn't this boring? I'm used to it. I don't have to fight twice a day. Blue Ogre Dory said. It's you, Luo Lin, you said that you would come to fight with us often. It's been 40 years. Kuro, the red ghost cloth, glared. Something happened in the middle. Luo Lin waved his hand. It's you, I don't know how much you've grown in the past 40 years, why don't you try it? Roland grinned, smile, a rare rise, silk war intent. As the two captains of the giant soldier pirates, Blue Ogre Dory and Red Ghost Brigitte are definitely not weak, far surpassing Vice Admiral, the giant clan of Marine headquarters. In addition, they also possess the highest profound meaning of the giants. Through the hands of the two of them, the Spear of Elbaf, Hakoku 039, which was jointly used, is not under the mighty kingdom of the four emperors Bigo. 40 years ago, Rollins took their Hakoku head on. 40 years later, there is nothing wrong with doing it again. Hearing Luo Lin's proposal, the two giant captains looked at each other, and then both raised their heads and laughed heartily. Come on, but in the past 40 years, we have become stronger again, Ji ja 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 ja. Then do it again. It won't be easy for you to take over our Hakoku now, Babababa. The giant warriors Dory and Brigitte, who were shaped like hills, fought side by side again after a lapse of 40 years. Guests from afar, I Dory and Brigitte, we both bet on the pride of Elbaf warriors and challenge Lord Roland here. Come on. Roland nodded calmly. Then as Lord Roland wishes, we will do our best. Dory said. Exactly what I want. Roland grinned Isho. With a light wave of his right hand, the Brachiosaurus leader immediately ran wild. With Robin and others on his back, he hid far away, not daring to stay here any longer. Drink, drink. Dory and Brigitte both shouted in unison. The two stood side by side, one on the left and one on the right, with Vivi's waist slumped, in the same fighting stance. On their sturdy arms, strips of blue veins appeared as if they had fresh life. The momentum of the two giants is rising steadily. In the end, the ground for several miles was cracked under the enormous pressure. The trees were broken and flying, and an invisible aura formed between the two giants. Feeling the invisible trend that was steadily climbing, Luo Lin's face still didn't show the slightest change in expression, but in his eyes there was a burning intent to fight. In the face of an opponent who is going all out, it is bound to go all out to meet it. This is man's romance. Boxing is born from the heart, and the heart moves at will. The deepest power hidden in Luo Lin's body is reviving. Vaguely, the roar of the ancient Tyrannosaurus beast seemed to be heard in his body. At this moment, Roland's brewing punch is far stronger than the desert tsunami that defeated Crocodile. Lord Roland, as you wish, this is our strongest trick, Hakoku. Dory and Brigitte shouted in unison, swinging their broken weapons in unison at this moment. 039 bang 039. There was only a loud explosion of air, and the air exploded under the shock wave of fist power released by the two giants. A bright white light broke through all the barriers in front of him. Wherever he went, both trees and rocks were shattered. Facing the terrifying shock wave, Luo Lin raised his hand in a hurry, and his right fist swept an arc in midair, and finally closed at his waist. There are no gorgeous skills, and there is no long-term energy-packed roar, just a punch from Zhongjung and peace. There seems to be a meteor streaking across the sky and the earth, brighter than anything else, but it returns to nothingness in an instant. 039 Hakoku shock wave of the two giants Dory and Brigitte.'s combined strike was devoured in an instant by Roland's punch. 039, 039. The two giants let out a scream of pain at the same time, and were hit by the impact that followed. The old armor on their bodies was completely shattered, and their huge bodies flew out like a broken kite. Victory and defeat. After a long time, all the shock waves converged, and the world returned to peace. Dory and Brigitte smiled wryly at each other. Although they had long known that Roland was strong, they never imagined that Hakoku, who combined the power of the two, would be defeated so easily. In these 40 years, they have become stronger. But Rollins became stronger than them by an unknown amount. Now the level difference between the two sides is too much, it is not a dimension at all. We lost. Blue Ogre Dory and the Red Ghost Brigitte stood up and knelt down on one knee in the direction of Roland to show respect for the winner. 90, Chapter 1 Peace. Blackbeard attacked the Drum Country. 2/7. Prehistoric island full of ancient wilderness. The two giants who had been fighting for 100 years knelt down on one knee, expressing the respect of the strong one who defeated them. This scene is shocking. Sure enough, Brother Luo Lin is so handsome, he even surrendered to the giants. On the back of the Brachiosaurus leader in the distance, Vivi murmured to himself subconsciously. Not just Vivi, Nami, Kaya, little Lori Marianne, Koala and more. When everyone looked at the figure standing in the sky in midair, their eyes were full of worshipped stars. For girls their age, a combination of strength, handsomeness and gentleness in the attractiveness of a man in the body is called 039 deadly. Who once again witnessed the destructive power of Luo Lin's dragon fist, still couldn't hide the shock in his beautiful eyes. She thought of a question. Is Roland, the mysterious vice admiral of the last era, really just vice admiral? Expressed serious doubts about Roland's self-reported identity as vice admiral. From digging out Roland to the present, Roland always surprises her again and again. Now, even Admiral Kuzan appeared in front of her. She wasn't afraid anymore. Because Robin firmly believes that the person she follows is definitely stronger than Marine Admiral. The end of the reminiscence between old friends. Next came the Straw Hat Boys' favorite banquet. After 40 years, the two giant captains who were beaten by Luo Lin, who had no temper, sat together again peacefully, drinking and eating meat together. 09 who have added new knowledge on this prehistoric island are not surprised, they are drunk again. Silent all night. The next day is dawn. Going merry departs prehistoric island little garden. Goodbye, Lord Roland, gaga gaga. Brigitte waved. Baba baba, we should see you soon. Dory laughed. On the merry, Roland nodded. This trip to prehistoric island was not in vain. With the addition of Dory and Brigitte, two free giant labors, the construction progress of Weisung 039 should be accelerated a lot. Next, go directly to the Drum Country. Thinking of the old woman in the magnetic Drum Country, Rao as Luo Lin, can't help but have a headache. However, there is no reason to regret what has been said. All the way calm. Going merry followed the guidance of the permanent pointer, heading straight towards the direction of the Drum Country of Winter Island. 2 days later. Going merry enters Winter Island climate. The sky gradually darkened, the temperature plummeted. Vivi and others on the deck were all wearing cotton clothes that had been prepared. It's coming soon, it should be less than half a day later. Vivi stopped abruptly before he could finish speaking. About tens of meters away from the Going Merry, the sea surface swelled without warning, a huge arc. Next moment. In the exclamations of Vivi and others, a big boat with the shape of a hippo appeared in everyone's sight. This is a submarine pirate ship hidden under the sea. Skulls hanging from the masts wear crowns. What's the matter? Did something fun happen? The youth in the straw hat of vitality rushed over immediately. Looks like a pirate. Sabo smiled. Pirates. Straw Hat Luffy's eyes light up again. From East Blue to the present. This was his first encounter with a pirate. Wait, Luffy, Here's what the instructor has to say. Sabo hurried forward 2 steps, suppressing Luffy who couldn't wait to fight. Moo-ha-ha-ha. After a while, there was a burst of arrogant laughter from the huge hippo pirate ship that appeared under the sea. It seems that these poor fellows have been stunned by this King's 039C suddenly jumping out of the sea to fight. Moo-ha-ha-ha-ha. The bloated and fat, hippopotamus-like captain of the pirate stood on the bow and looked down at Luffy and the others on the deck, with a triumphant look on his face. Wapol of your drum kingdom. When he saw the big-mouthed Hippo 039 on the boat, Vivi's eyes widened in shock and exclaimed. Little Vivi, you know him? Nami asked. Ah, this hippopotamus-like guy is the king of the drum country, our destination, Vivi said. What? King? Be a pirate? Is this guy imitating Uncle Bear? Koala subconsciously thinks of one of the elders of their revolutionary army, Shichibukai Tyrant Bear. Damn stinky girl, what's the same as a hippo? Isn't you little girl the nasty daughter of Nasty Cobra? What are you doing here? The fruit-swallowing ability Wapol also recognized Vivi's appearance, and suddenly showed a playful smile. I should be asking you this, Wapol, what the hell are you doing here now as the king of the world government member countries? Even as a pirate, do you still have any self-consciousness as a king? Vivi Stern the drink asked. Shut up, nasty little girl, do you think it's me who wants to be a pirate? Isn't it delicious to eat, drink and have fun in the castle? Isn't it impossible? If it wasn't for that nasty Blackbeard gang, would my dignified Lord Wapol need to be reduced to being a pirate for a living? Wapol's aggrieved opening. Wapol shuddered at the thought of the Blackbeard pirate who broke into his country with absolute power not long ago. Blackbeard, could it be the traitor on the Whitebeard ship reported by the New World more than 2 months ago? Sabo thought to himself. This king doesn't have time to tremble with you now, you nasty little girl. If you are sensible, hand over everything on the ship to me, so that this king can consider saving your life. Wapol spoke arrogantly. At the same time, the rest of the Drum King Palace guards on the White Iron King pirate ship aimed their weapons at everyone on the Mary. Teacher, what should I do? Sabo turned to look at Roland on the second deck. Well, let's do it then. Luo Lin nodded and gave the order to do it. Huh. When he heard Roland say 039 to do 039, Wapol showed a mishearing expression. Hey, you have to have a degree of self-control. The number of people on this king's boat is several times yours. You families. Before Wapol could finish speaking, the Straw Hat Boy who had been prepared for a long time ejected and came to the hippo boat. Rubber, whip. The outstretched feet swept out, and suddenly flew away. Fishman karate. Dragon claw fist. Accompanied by 2 loud bangs. Koala of the Revolutionary Army shot with Sabo. Palm and 1 punch, he easily defeated Wapol's 2 capable fighters, Jess, the sharpshooter, and Chromolyman, the furball. The battle is over before it begins. Wapol stared at the emptiness. Behind the person, 2 lines of snot, 1 long and 1 short, were drooping, with a look of shock and confusion on his face. Who are you, you? Wapol finally realized that he was kicking an iron plate this time, and his body trembled with fear. 2 round flowers, slap. 2 slender arms were born out of thin air, and they twitched at Wapol's stunned hippo face. Less than half a minute, Wapol's big face is swollen and almost like a real hippo. Surrender, I surrender. Wapol, who was arrogant not long ago, is now lying on the deck, raising the white flag and surrendering. What? It's over, it's boring. Straw Hat Luffy looked dissatisfied. Brother Rolling, what's next? Vivi asked. Well, Robin, tell the little crocodile, let him send a boat over and pull these guys to build the city. Roland said. 093 Wapol's Tuntun Fruit is indeed a good ability. At the beginning, Wapol was able to counterattack from the beggars and re-establish the kingdom, relying on the ability of Tuntun Fruit to create a special Wapol alloy, which is a good thing. How could Luo Lin let the toolman Wapol go in vain? Brother Rolling, this is not good, although this Wapol is a little annoying, but after all, he is also the king of a country. Vivi hesitated. The moment he abandoned his country and ran away to be a pirate, he was no longer a king, Vivi, and if you don't tell me, who knows? Roland touched Vivi's face with a smile. Brain. Vivi, who had figured it out, nodded. One day later, the shipping agency trade ship arrived at the Target Sea area and took away Wapple and his party. The Going Merry set sail and headed towards the Drum Country again. The Great Route, Winter Island, the Kingdom of Drums. Ziahaha, little ones, how's your search going? The ugly Blackbeard pirate asked with a laugh. Captain Teach, I have found many treasures, Fighting champion Jesus Burgess came with a big bag of treasure, laughing. It's a pity, Captain Teach, the king of this country, that the fruit swallower you were looking for has escaped. Devil Sheriff Lafayette swept from the air, and the moment he landed, the white wings behind him dissipated. It's probably fate. Sniper Otonyoshi Van Auger sighed. Forget it, let's prepare for the next plan. Compared with swallowing the fruit, I still have to. A lot more interested, Ziahaha, little ones, ready to go. Blackbeard Marshal D. Teach laughed. By the way, what about Doc Q others? Why haven't they come yet? Jesus Burgess asked. Mr. Death's words seemed to be in conflict with an old woman. Lafayette laughed. Chapter 92 Blackbeard, shocked Dr. Kuleha excited, 3/7. The Great Route, Dongdao, is a lakeside town on the north side of the magnetic drum country, Kesda. Due to the plundering attacks of the Blackbeard pirates, most of the people in this town have basically retreated to the snow-capped mountains for refuge. The lakeside town that was full of people has become deserted because of this, like a dead city. Puff cough cough cough. Painful coughs sounded from the deadly town streets. A man in a dirty and tattered black robe collapsed sickly on a tall white horse that was also bony. One person and one horse, all of them are dead and dying, as if they may die at any time. Cough 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 cough. At a certain moment, the coughing sound of the man who looked like a god of death on the horse's back intensified, as if he was coughing out all his lungs. The sound of coughing echoed over this deserted empty city, and the sound was in my ears. A moment. A small head protrudes from the wall of a cottage on the edge of the lakeside town. It was a reindeer with a blue nose. Dr. Dolly someone is about to die from coughing on the road over there. Chopper, a reindeer and a doctor, whispered into the house. As a doctor's sense of responsibility, he cannot help others. Come back, Chopper, you stupid son. There was a hint of anger in the voice of the mistress of the house. But Dr. Dorian. Chopper's eyes fell into the distance again, and before he finished speaking, he found that the people and horses that were supposed to be hundreds of meters away had disappeared. Found you. Dow's cold voice sounded outside the fence without warning. Ah! Grim Reaper, suddenly appearing outside the wall, Chopper screamed in fright. 039 squeak 039. The courtyard door was pushed open. Sitting on the white horse, a member of the Blackbeard pirates with a sick face, Doc Q, the god of death, pushed the door straight in. The black and thin right hand fumbled for a moment on the basket and took out a bright red apple. Eat it, little reindeer. Doc Q spoke softly, as if there was some kind of sinking magic in his voice. Under the lure of that voice, Chopper unconsciously took the apple and took a bite. Chopper, throw it away. Realizing that something was wrong, the hostess suddenly rushed out the door and shouted in anger. However, it was too late. Dr. Dolier, what's wrong? Under the shouting of Dr. Kurha, Chopper woke up, holding the apple at a loss. Cough, it's really a lucky reindeer, but fate is often used by people to measure the value of human existence, and you still have the value of living. Death Doc Q said with a smile. Chopper's body trembled in fright. Doc Q, the god of death, you damn pirates, if you get the treasure, get out of this country, what are you doing? Dr. Kuleha scolded. Cough, cough, don't worry, Dr. Kurha, I've already made a point about your name. This time cough, cough, this time my purpose is different from Captain Teach and the others. I came to this country specifically for you, the legendary witch. Doc Q, the god of death, opened his mouth intermittently, a penetrating smile on his purple face, and his gaze towards Dr. Kurha became even hotter. Zia ha 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 ha. Dr. Kurha could speak. Someone's loud laughter came from outside the courtyard wall again. Hey, Reaper Doc Q, I've been your partner for several months now. I can't believe you still have such a special habit, Zia ha ha ha. Blackbeard Marshal D. Teach came up laughing. Way ha ha tilde, I didn't expect our ship doctor to be so good. This old woman must be at least 70 or 80 years old. Doc Q, you are too hungry to eat. Fighting champion Jesus Burgess quipped. 70 or 80, I love hearing this. I really want to thank you, pirate bastard. Dr. Kurha looked at Jesus Burgess and sneered. This, not only Jesus Burgess, but also the other members of the Blackbeard Pirates were stunned. I don't understand what Dr. Kurha means. PFF'd, Burgess, this old woman is nearly 140 years old this year. You say she's 70 or 80, of course she'll be happy. Reaper Doc Q explained. What did you say? Hearing this, the four including Blackbeard were shocked. This old woman is already 140 years old. Is such a thing possible? She is not a giant. How can ordinary people have such a long lifespan? Impossible. The four of the Blackbeard pirates spoke one after another. It's not impossible. I'm here this time. The legendary witch, ahem, hand over your secret recipe for longevity. Reaper Doc Q finally revealed his purpose. Hearing this, the eyes of the four Blackbeards also lit up. Of course they know how precious the secret recipe for longevity is. Searching for the treasures of the entire magnetic drum country is not worth a secret recipe. Hee hee, pirates, do you also want to know the secret of my eternal youth? The price is very expensive. Dr. Kurha sneered. Zia ha 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 ha, old woman, you may be thinking something wrong, we are pirates. If a pirate wants something, it has always been robbed. Who was coveting Dr. Kurha's secret recipe, laughed out loud and took a step forward with his right foot. 039 bang 039. The snow ground trembled at this moment. Immediately after that, a deep darkness like water waves spread to the surroundings with Blackbeard at the center. Kaka 039 039 boom 039. The walls of the hut collapsed under the ripping of darkness, and finally fell completely into darkness. Then came the hut where Chopper and Dr. Kuleha had lived for many years, which also disappeared under the pull of darkness. Zia ha ha ha, if you know the appearance, hand it over quickly, old woman. Blackbeard laughed. Lambu ball, stronger foot strength. Under the oppression of the crisis surrounded by darkness, the timid Chopper awakens. A blue wave ball is swallowed and transformed into a reindeer beast. Dr. Dorier, come up quickly, I'll take you out. Chopper said anxiously. Why there is even a rare beast. This time the harvest is really good. The fighting champion stared at Chopper. My idiot son, don't worry, change back first. Dr. Kurha gently stroked Chopper's head. Huh, why? Chopper was puzzled, but still obediently turned into the original little one. Because of this, I have the strength to kick you farther, idiot son. Dr. Kurha grinned Isho and kicked out suddenly. Ah! Chopper cried out feebly. Why tilde that rare beast is already ours, don't even think about leaving. Fighting champion Jesus Burgess slightly bent his knees, stomped his feet on the ground, and shot out of his body, and he was about to catch up with Chopper in the air. However, at this moment, a sudden change occurred. On the other side of the road, there was also a figure that was almost blurry, and the fighting champion couldn't help but change his face and quickly turn to attack. Dragon Claw Fist. Wave Elbow. The dark Dragon Claw Fist collided with the Wave Elbow, causing a turbulent shockwave, blowing the sky and snow. Ah! And Jesus Burgess was defeated, and under the power of the Dragon Claw Fist, it flew out like a broken kite, and a strand of blood overflowed from the corner of his mouth. Who is strong? Everyone, including Blackbeard, couldn't help being shocked. Sand. The sound of footsteps stepping on the ice and snow clearly exploded in everyone's ears. Just a trance kung fu. There was another person beside the young man with the blonde top hat. Dr. Kurha, even if it's an idiot son, it's a bit too hard to kick. It's stupid to kick people and children. Roland held the dumbfounded Chopper with one hand and opened his mouth with a smile. It's you. Chapter 93 Sabo, Luffy's Blackbeard, Buddy, 4/7 for subscription. It was cold and windy. Blowing snow. Sight of the Blackbeards and Dr. Kurha. The alarm sounded in the hearts of the 5 pirates headed by Blackbeard Marshal D. Teach. In their perception, the young man in white with the blue-nosed reindeer was like a big mountain. No matter how much they looked up, there was no end in sight. Even if that person just stands there and doesn't move. The powerful aura on his body is that the people of the Blackbeards who have been oppressed can't breathe. Every cell in their body is tensed, reminding and telling of the approaching danger. Compared to the shock and fear of the Blackbeards. At this moment, the old woman with the title of 039 Witch, in the magnetic drum country, Dr. Kuleha, and the expression on Zhang Lao's face gradually became dull with the appearance of Luo Lin. From sluggishness to shock, it finally turned into excitement, beyond words. Dr. Kurha's aged body trembled uncontrollably with excitement. The shocked expression on his face turned into joy. There was a slightly menacing laugh on an old face. Bastard, you are really immortal. Dr. Kurha laughed. I told you a long time ago that in this world, nothing or power can kill me, not even myself. Luo Lin said with a smile. Ah, seeing you alive this time, I also have to believe it. D840R Kurha nodded. Regarding the specious dialogue between Roland and Dr. Kuleha, the Blackbeards and the group of 5 all heard it in a vague way, and didn't quite understand it. There is no time for them to ponder the deep meaning of this conversation. Hearing Roland and Dr. Kurha's reminiscence and conversation, Blackbeard's arms and forehead had blue veins bursting out. I said you too, when are you going to talk about it? And the other side, who are you? Blackbeard finally couldn't help roaring. Even if he knew that Luo Lin was not an ordinary person, but he possessed the most ferocious Logia dark fruit ability, he should not be afraid of anyone. Hee, Kurha, it looks like someone can't wait. Roland glanced at Blackbeard, and in an instant, Ling's Blackbeard was wet with cold sweat. Since you're here, these guys will be handed over to you. Dr. Kurha waved her hand in relief, completely losing her previous vigilance and determination to fight to the death. Because it is no longer needed. The moment that person appeared, the result was already doomed. Hey, Sabo. Brother Rolling, wait for us. Just then, another group of people trotted to the edge of the lakeside town. Little girls such as Luffy and Robin who were a few hundred meters behind Rollins. Hey, Brother Rolling, what are you holding? A civet cat. It's so cute. Vivi, who was panting to catch up with him, noticed the chopper in Rolling's hand for the first time, and immediately showed a look of surprise on his face. The civet cat, is it delicious? I haven't eaten it yet. Luffy, the youthful straw hat, stretched out his tongue and started drooling. You bastard, don't think about eating me, I'm not delicious at all, and I'm not a civet cat, but a reindeer. Chopper, who was stunned by Dr. Kurha's kick, immediately returned to his senses after hearing Luffy's words. Breaking free from Roland's big hand, it was a flying kick to Luffy's face. Hey Tilda, the little civet cat is talking about it. Nami, Kaya, Koala and other little girls suddenly exclaimed in shock. By Chopper's mouth. A talking civet cat, a new breed of rare beast. Or a devil fruit person. Robin pondered. I only speak because I ate zone human fruit, and I stress again, I am not a tame. Wow it's all your fault, my mouth is bald. Chopper collapsed. Ha ha ha. Chopper's cute and angry appearance immediately made Vivi and the others laugh. Even the most serious Robin, At the moment Ajax is amused by Chopper's cuteness. Hey, little civet cat, do you want to go out to sea with me? For such a rare little reindeer, Luffy certainly wouldn't let it go, even if invited. Who wants to go to sea with you? Besides, there is no one who invites others to go to sea as soon as they meet. Thinking about it, it is impossible to agree. Chopper grinned. It's just that Chopper was powerless to refute and correct the fact that Luffy called him a civet cat again. Because of the arrival of Luffy and the little girls, and the cheerful conversation afterwards, the originally tense atmosphere in the field suddenly dissipated. Looking at Luo Lin, pedestrian talking and laughing like no one else, the blue veins on Blackbeard's forehead began to beat violently again. He has never been looked down upon like this since he came to Paradise from the New World after obtaining the Dark Fruit ability. Asshole, even if you look down on people, there is a limit. Blackbeard roared, and there was a deep darkness that seemed to engulf even light, which was daunting. It was not until Blackbeard screamed that Luffy and the others finally noticed the existence of the Blackbeard gang. Brother Rolling, who are they? Vivi asked. These guys Blackbeard pirates, answered Vivi, but Robin. What? The Blackbeard pirates, the one who defected after killing the squad leader of the Four Emperors Whitebeard a few months ago. Koala looked shocked. Ah, it should be him. Sabo's fists clenched slowly. Teacher, these people don't know if they can let me try first. Sabo asked. Okay, Roland nodded. Thank you, mentor. Sabo nodded in thanks. Luffy, come here too. Oh. Straw Hat Luffy was in high spirits. Of course he won't miss a fight. Luffy, did you know? The guy on the opposite side named Blackbeard used to be under the captain of the 2nd Division of the Whitebeard Pirates. Sabo said. What's wrong? Luffy wondered. Idiot Luffy, didn't I tell you? Whitebeard's 2nd Division captain is Ace. Hey that person is Ace's team. Luffy's eyes widened in shock. It's not anymore. According to the information I have obtained through various channels these days, Ace is now hunting down the traitor who killed his partner. In other words, he is now Ace's biggest enemy. Sabo said. What? It is absolutely unforgivable to kill the companion on the ship. Luffy, who paid special attention to the word partner, was angry. Ziahahaha, who did I think it was? It turns out that you are acquaintances of Captain Ace, which is a coincidence. Sabo and Luffy, Blackbeard smiled after learning that they met Ace. Blackbeard, Ace is our brother, Ace's business is our business, and today our two brothers will arrest you with our own hands. Sabo said firmly. Try it if you can, Ziahaha. Blackbeard laughed unnervedly. Dragon Claw Fist. Rubber. Chapter 94 Rubbing on the ground according to Blackbeard's head, 5/7. Dragon Claw Fist. Sabo's fighting spirit is high, and his right hand is in the shape of a dragon claw. Under Armament Hockey's package, it is as black as ink, exuding a strong sense of power. Rubber. Luffy's arm, which was also in full-strength combat, swung like a windmill, and then stretched infinitely behind him. Unleash the ductility of rubbery fruit to the extreme. Ziahahaha, the two of you turned out to be the brothers that Captain Ace once said. This is really interesting. Blackbeard Marshal D. Teach laughed recklessly, and the darkness around him became deeper and deeper. Devours everything. Captain Teach, the bastard who attacked me earlier, leave it to me to deal with it. Fighting champion Jesus Burgess, who got up from the ground at some point, wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and stared at Sabo viciously. The gears of fate have begun to turn, and my eyes have seen the death of the Straw Hat. The sniper of the Blackbeard Pirates, Otonyoshi Van Augur raised the 039 Car 98039 in his hand and aimed at Luffy's forehead. Ziahahaha, that's also true, the general should be the main general, how can you do it as soon as you come up? Blackbeard laughed, and the darkness around him subsided. Weha this time, you won't let your sneak attack succeed again, you bastard. Wave elbow. Fighting champion Jesus Burgess, like a humanoid tank, charged towards Sabo with an indomitable momentum. Dragon Claw Fist. Sabo's right hand seemed to have a real dragon claw phantom, flapping towards Jesus Burgess. At the same time, only heard 039 bang, a gunshot. In the hands of Sniper Van Auger, thousands of lands spit out a fierce tongue of fire. It's over. Van Auger closes the gun confidently. As a sniper, he is particularly confident in his shooting skills. Because he is one of the top snipers in the world, even seagulls several kilometers away can be easily shot down. Not to mention the short distance of 100 meters. The moment the bullet popped out of the chamber, Van Auger knew that his projectile would definitely hit Luffy's forehead. That's exactly what happened. Amid the exclamations of Vivi, Nami and others, Van Auger's sniper was impartial, hitting the middle of the Straw Hat Boy's eyebrows. Just one shot knocked out his head with 039. Luffy. Nami unconsciously covered her mouth with her slender hands, her expression horrified. Mr. Straw Hat. Kaya exclaimed. Wow, I lost my head. Chopper sprinted back and forth screaming in fright. Don't be nervous, everyone, the Straw Hats are fine. Robin said calmly. Yes, have you forgotten? Sabo's younger brother is a rubber fruit power. Koala began. Hee. Luffy, who was shot in the head by 039, shot 039 into the air, grinned wide at the corners of his mouth, isho. I'm a rubber guy, and things like bullets don't work for me at all. Asshole. Luffy's elongated neck was driven back by the impact of the bullet at twice its previous speed. 039 whoosh. The moment his head returned, the bullet that had been stuck in his brow suddenly turned back towards Van Auger. 110 meters away, but a moment. 039 swish 039 bang 039. Bullet flew past the edge of Van Auger's head, blasting the snow. Tear 039. Sniper Van Auger's left cheek appeared, a faint bloodstain. Now it's my turn. Rubber, a rocket launcher. Next second, Straw Hat Luffy's fully charged rubber rocket launcher shot out. In Van Auger's pupils dilated with shock. It all happened almost at the same time. Underestimated Van Auger was hit head-on by Luffy's rubber bazooka. What happens when a low-defense long-range sniper confronts a high-attack fighter head-on? Results have appeared. Under the impact of Luffy's full-strength rubber rocket launcher, Van Auger, who was good at long-range support, couldn't stop it and was directly sent flying. Just like a shooting star, it flies out and does not know how far. That Van Auger was knocked out, the battle between Sabo and the fighting champion Jesus Burgess on the other side also came to an end. Saab's armament, who has been training in the Revolutionary Army for 10 years, is naturally much stronger than Jesus Burgess, who is a retail investor. 039 dong 039. A loud bang. The sturdy body of Jesus Burgess was also knocked out by Sabo's dragon claw fist. The battle has been underway for less than a minute. It was convenient to lose 2 members of Admiral quickly. This result shocked the other 3 members of the Blackbeard Pirates. Death God Doc Q straddled a thin white horse named Zhuang 039, changed his previous state of rapid illness, rode his horse galloping, and immediately went to check the situation of his 2 partners. Now it's your turn, Blackbeard Marshal D. Teach. Sabo stood side by side with the Luffy brothers, facing Blackbeard. Ziahahaha, he really deserves to be Captain Ace's brother, he has 2 strokes, but... Rubber, pistol. Before Blackbeard could finish speaking, Luffy had already started. A powerful punch slammed into Blackbeard's body. Dark water. Facing Luffy's blow, Blackbeard just calmly stretched out his right hand and caught Luffy's fist. The dark windmill emanating from his palm instantly nullified Luffy's abilities. Ziahahaha, how is it? Straw Hat Boy, this is my ability, the most vicious and evil Logia dark fruit ability in the world. In front of my ability, all ability people are jokes, do you feel that ability is useless? That's right. Seeing the shocked expression on Luffy's face, Blackbeard burst into a complacent laugh. Next, inhale. Blackbeard's right hand turned into a claw, pulling in Luffy's direction. The next moment, Luffy's body involuntarily moved towards Blackbeard. If Luffy's abilities are useless, how about trying my fist? Sabo's voice suddenly exploded above Blackbeard's head. Luffy, a heavy blow to his ineffective ability, was suddenly shocked, and only then did he realize that he had two opponents this time. Blackbeard hurriedly raised his head subconsciously, just in time to be blocked by Sabo's dragon claws. 039 bang 039. Under armament hockey's blessing, Sabo's dragon claw fist has a qualitative leap in power. Just one punch pressed Blackbeard's head into the ground and rubbed it, breaking his head. Blood flow. Blood splattered and stained the snow red. Chapter 95. The most fierce and strongest devil fruit ability. Dragon Claw Fist. When Blackbeard's attention fell on Luffy, Sabo shot. Dark dragon claws covered Blackbeard's face. 039 bang 039. Sabo has been training in the Revolutionary Army for plus years, and the trick exploded. The dual power of armament and dragon claw erupted, and in an instant, Blackbeard's head was pressed to the ground, making a loud bang. Kakaka 039. The hard frozen ground cracked at this moment. Countless cobweb-like cracks spread. At the very center of Blackbeard's head, there was a hole several feet deep. Blood gushed out. Turn the white snow into blood red. It was naturally the blood on Blackbeard's head. The front was hit by Sabo's armament dragon claws, and even the iron head was dented. Not to mention flesh and blood. Indeed, having lived through the Roger era, Blackbeard, who has stayed on the 623 Whitebeard for nearly 30 years, is considered powerful. Strong enough to leave 3 scratches on the red-haired Shank's face before. Ling's red hair, who is now the 4th emperor, is still unforgettable. In addition to the ability to remove the devil fruit, his own fighting technique and hockey attainments are indeed extraordinary. However, Blackbeard has a fatal weakness. That is arrogance and rashness. Especially after obtaining the Logia secret fruit ability that he had been thinking about for more than 20 years, the arrogance and recklessness that Blackbeard had suppressed for decades erupted like a volcano. Previously faced Luffy's teaming up with Sabo. Blackbeard has never been a thing. At this moment, he also paid the price for his arrogance and rashness. Logia dark fruit can indeed be said to be innately restrained in the face of devil fruit ability. But when faced with a real fighting technique master, it will pull the crotch. Luffy, are you all right? After punching Blackbeard, Sabo looked at Luffy anxiously. Well, I'm fine, just what happened before. My rubber man constitution disappeared for a moment. Vitality Youth Straw Hat. Luffy opened his mouth suspiciously. Sabo, they're going to run. At this moment, Koala, who was watching the battle, suddenly screamed. Just as Sabo dropped Blackbeard, rolling his eyes, to check on Luffy. The last member of the Blackbeard Pirates, the Devil Sheriff Lafayette, dressed like a white-faced theatrical actor on the stage, suddenly stretched out a pair of long white wings behind him. A gust of wind. The Blackbeard wrapped in the Coma 039 passed. Don't try to run away. Sabo reacted, and as soon as the soles of his feet slammed on the ground, he was about to pursue. However, at this moment, a sudden change occurred. Devil Sheriff Lafayette, who had fled to the center of the town, shuddered and fell straight down. Captain Teach, what are you doing? Lafayette, who fell to the ground, frowned and asked Blackbeard, who had barely stood up not far away. Zia ha 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 ha, __. In the center of the town, Blackbeard's body was swaying, and it took him a while to finally stand up. Lafayette, don't you think I've lost too? Blackbeard asked sharply, and the veins on his ugly black face were full of anger. He was easily knocked down by the 2 little ghosts in his eyes, and even fainted. For Blackbeard, this is simply a great shame. Zia ha 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 ha, Ace's younger brother, Don't think you can defeat me like this. This battle has just begun, and then let you see the real horror of my dark fruit. Zia ha ha ha. Blackbeard laughed. At the cost of suffering several times the pain, he absorbed all the damage from the previous Sabo Dragon Claw Fist. Pop. Blackbeard, who had recovered from a concussion, slammed his right hand to the ground. Dark Cave Road, boom rumble. With Blackbeard's loud roar, the ground where the lakeside town Kesda was located suddenly shook violently. The rich and deep darkness spread out in all directions with Blackbeard as the center. Kakaka 039. 039 rumble. Under the horrified eyes of Dr. Kurha, Luffy, Nami, and others, all the houses in the town seemed to be squeezed by an invisible force, and they were all swallowed up by darkness. After dozens of seconds, the lakeside town that originally stood with hundreds of houses disappeared completely. Everything on the ground was sucked into the darkness and disappeared. This can be called a terrifying scene. Except for Luo Lin, no one can remain indifferent. Zia ha 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 ha. Blackbeard laughed in satisfaction at the expressions on the faces of Luffy and the others. The real good show is yet to come, let me die for everything. Blackbeard. Release. Following his command, a dark tornado of unknown length rose from behind him, twisting like a long worm. In the end, they rushed straight towards Luo Lin and his party in front of him. In this 039 tornado 039, there is not only darkness, but also the fragments of the houses that disappeared in the darkness before, all of them fell down at this moment. Under the acceleration of the dark storm, the power is not under the bullet. Everyone, be careful to dodge. Sabo shouted anxiously. Blackbeard's large-scale AoE skills fell, and he was helpless. Just try to block as many as possible. Little Sabo, leave it to me next. Just as Sabo tightened his muscles and waited for the battle, a gentle voice suddenly sounded in his ear. Immediately afterwards, Sabo only felt his eyes flicker, and there was another person in front of him. Tutor. When he saw Roland, Sabo's face suddenly flashed with excitement. Yes. Are you really confused? Standing here today as their mentor. As long as there are mentors here. Even if the sky falls, there is a solution. Where does he need to worry about something? Sorry, mentor, I'm still a long way off. Sabo scratched his head embarrassedly. It's okay, you've done enough. Roland nodded affirmatively. Bastard, don't underestimate me too much, today I'm 50 to see how capable you are, a pretentious guy. Zia ha 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 ha. Blackbeard laughed several times, raising the tearing power of the dark fruit to the maximum. If the other party only pays attention to the gravel in the dark, it is a big mistake. The real killer move of his trick is still darkness. The gravity and tearing force of the terror cloth from the darkness is enough to tear the flesh and blood of the human body into countless pieces. Give me death, Blackbeard shouted excitedly. 039 bang 039. The huge dark tornado rushed in front of Luo Lin in an instant. That is, Luo Lin calmly raised his right hand. The most fierce and strongest devil fruit ability is the dark fruit. Do not. This is the worst. This is the strongest. 10,000, material, powder, broken. Chapter 96. Everything shatters the Blackbeard of fear and despair. 7/7. 10,000, material, powder, broken. The moment when Roland's right hand was raised. The world freezes. Immediately afterwards, countless fine rays of light were generated out of thin air. One horizontal and one vertical, intertwined in front of Roland. Like a suspended three-dimensional chessboard, emitting a shining shimmer, which can be called aesthetic. However, behind this beauty lies the ultimate danger. When this shiny chessboard appeared, the atmosphere was not only the atmosphere, but even the space was split. This is one of Roland's abilities. In addition to the two devil fruits that were eaten at the beginning, the complete third devil fruit ability obtained through the system. Through the system's Death Feedback 039 function, Luo Lin's body has been strengthened countless times. At the same time, he also awakened and gained new powers in the repeated near-death experiences. Some of these powers or resistances, such as his body's immunity to elements such as fire, lava, and poison. Some are powers, such as the power of the Sea King Poseidon, which should only be awakened by the mermaid princess Shirahoshi. In addition, there are some other abilities. For example, the lightning control ability that Luo Lin once experienced in the new world of Thunder God Island for a month, could not be generated but could be controlled. Finally, there is a fight with powerful devil fruit abilities, and it is possible to obtain the ability of the other party 09 to feedback, which is equivalent to obtaining some incomplete abilities. Most don't come in handy. There is only one ability exception. In the past decades ago, Overlord Rox ruled the New World. Who is marine, has clashed with it more than once. At the same time, his body was hit by this ferocious ability more than once, and his life was hanging by a thread. Especially the Battle of the Island of God 36 years ago, the blow that almost split Roland apart. It was after that Roland had the third full devil fruit ability. Owned by the master of the sea Roxy Zebek. Paramesha, which is the strongest and the most vicious at the same time, has the ability to crush fruit. Reach the extreme, wherever it goes, everything shatters. 36 years later, it finally reappears. 039 bang 039. The dark tornado that Blackbeard had increased to his own limit arrived. The darkness that contains the terrifying tearing force is surging with countless fragments of houses. At the same time, Roland's outstretched right hand gently pushed forward. The web of chessboards constructed of shattering power touches Blackbeard's dark tornado. Just for a moment, the turbulent darkness solidified. Immediately afterwards, under the gaze of Blackbeard's wide-open eyes, under his shocking gaze, Roland's shattering power quickly eroded his dark tornado storm. A bright light suddenly lit up above the dark tornado. Then shattered. Whether it was an entity like a fragment of a house, or the invisible darkness, they were all shattered by the unparalleled smashing force. Between the heaven and the earth, black and white interlaced cubes appeared one after another, floating quietly. Next second, in the air between Roland and Blackbeard, there was a rain of fine sawdust and stones. Darkness is also a silent retreat. What? How can this happen? Impossible. This ability is not, can't, this ability is clearly. Witnessing Roland's shattering power with his own eyes, the expression on Blackbeard's face was first shocked, and finally completely sluggish. Not just out of fear. It is because he has already recognized this ability with the strongest name. The master who knew this ability, or the former master. Therefore, his heart became more and more terrified, so that his brain was completely shut down, unable to think. He didn't even notice the light coming to him. Captain Teach, what are you doing? Run away. Devil Sheriff Lafayette suppressed the horror in his heart, and spread his wings behind him, bringing a gust of wind and pushing his body forward at high speed. King 039. The sharp blade shone from his cane, trying to cut off the remaining smashing power. However, Lafayette obviously overestimated his own strength. In front of this power that is almost the law, his weak power is like the difference between Yingwo and Haoyu. The crutch sword in his hand, which is no weaker than a big sharp sword, shatters when it touches it. What smashed next was his right hand holding the sword. 039 039. In screams. Devil Sheriff Lafayette's right arm and half of his body were shattered instantly. Blood stained the sky. Lafayette. Until then, Blackbeard finally came back to his senses. The first shot. With the dark water like a windmill, the remaining smashing power is dissolved and absorbed as much as possible. This made Lafayette's body not disintegrate on the spot. Just this situation, after seeing Roland's shot. Especially after the strongest ability that Roland showed. Rao is arrogant like a Blackbeard, and he is also completely frightened. He had absolutely no confidence that he could get away from the unfathomable Luo Lin. Could it be the end of his Blackbeard's life? Do not. How could this be? My life has just begun. I have not made a name for the sea. I'm not yet One Piece, king of pirates. I also want to complete that person's legacy. 1. Be the king of this world. Blackbeard's brain was shaking. The body also trembled uncontrollably because of fear, despair and unwillingness. 039 bang 039. 039 bang 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 bang. At this moment, the fireworks exploded like festive fireworks. Fireworks exploded in the sky. However, it was not a brilliant light and shadow that exploded. Instead, it was a cloud of purple-black fog of 450 chi. In an instant, it covered a radius of hundreds of meters. The atmosphere was constantly surging under the erosion of the purple-black mist, as if it was boiling. Vaguely, it seemed that countless fierce beasts made of purple-black mist were galloping, driving the mist to spread out, trying to cover the entire magnetic drum country. Did the god of death do good things? Did he want to turn the country into a dead place? Dr. Kuleha guessed the source of the purple mist, and an old face was instantly occupied by anger. Dr. Dolly, what the hell is going on? It looks like a poisonous mist. What should I do? The poisonous mist is about to spread and everyone will die. Chopper, the blue-nosed reindeer, yelled anxiously. What? Poison fog. Brother Rolling, what should we do next? The little girls such as Nami were all startled and scared, and looked at Luo Lin with hope. At this moment, the poisonous mist did not spread towards them, and it was precisely because Luo Lin blocked it. Otherwise, they would have been surrounded by the fog that was not far from the source of the poisonous fog, and there would be no way out. The damn Blackbeards are still hiding such a hand. Mentor, there is no way. Retreat. Sabo lowered his head, his teeth rattled in anger. No way. Who said that? Roland glanced at Sabo and spoke calmly. At the moment when Luo Lin's voice fell. The sky is shattered. Chapter 97. The Awakening of the Power of the Strongest Fruit. The purple-black mist is overwhelming. With the lakeside town as the center, it spreads to all parts of the drum country. Indistinctly, it seemed that a terrifying and indescribable creature could be seen roaring and roaring in the poisonous fog, as if it had real life. This can happen only because the poisonous mist of this piece of poisonous mist is too violent. Where the poisonous mist passed, the pure white ice and snow were instantly pitch black and completely eroded. Permafrost turned into a purple, black dead place. Even in the past tens or hundreds of years, the toxins in the soil have not decreased much. This is a real poison that can destroy a country. Death Kingdom, developed by Caesar Kalang in the plot, it is even worse. Doc Q, the ship doctor of the Blackbeard pirates who is entitled to the title of Death 039, can indeed be called the leader in the field of poisoning. Facing the terrifying poisonous mist that covered the sky, Nami, Vivi and other little girls couldn't help turning pale. Chopper, the blue-nosed reindeer who was born and bred in the magnetic drum country, has already burst into tears. After all, this is his hometown after all. Although his reindeer parents disliked his blue nose and drove him out of the pack. Humans see him as a monster because of his devil fruit abilities. His childhood in this country was anything but good. But this is the country that Dr. Sharulik desperately guards. He will also work hard to learn medicine here and find a panacea that can cure any disease. And Dr. Kurha. His favorite family except Dr. Sharulik. Ah. Although it was a reindeer, the chopper at the moment was crying like a wolf howl. Don't worry, Dr. Dolly I am going to collect poison gas samples, and I'll develop a neutralizing antidote right away. I won't let this country die. Chopper opened his mouth, the look on his face more determined than ever. Wait, my idiot son, it's not your turn to die here. With your half-hearted medical skills, when you develop a neutralizing antidote, my mother will already be a corpse. Dr. Kuleha grabbed the impulsive Chopper and stopped him from stepping into the poisonous fog. But if it goes on like this, is it really over? Chopper burst into tears. Idiot son, it's not just the two of us here. Look at it, there will be a turning point. That person is a hero, whether it is in the past, now, or in the future. He will never just watch a country die. Dr. Kuleha had a smile on his face, and his cloudy eyes stared at Luo Lin's back. Is that man a hero who can really save our country? Chopper followed Dr. Kuleha's line of sight and fixedly looked at Roland. Sure, Robin said. It must be fine. Vivi nodded. If it is a mentor, there must be a way. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Luo Lin took a step forward, and under the shocked gaze of Sabo and others, he stepped into the purple-black poisonous fog without hesitation. Sensing the invasion of living beings, it boils like a poisonous mist with self-consciousness. One after another, the indescribable poisonous gas monsters eroded towards Luo Lin's body as if going crazy. However, no matter how violent the poisonous mist was, it was still unable to injure Luo Lin in the slightest. Roland's footsteps are still steady. Even under the shroud of poisonous gas, it is still better than walking in the courtyard, no different from other places on weekdays. Because as early as 40 years ago, his body was already full of poison resistance. He has tried even more violent poison than this poisonous fog. Now, naturally, there will be no problem at all. I'm not interested in heroes or anything, it's just the pink cherry blossom scene in this country, I haven't seen it yet. Luo Lin whispered to himself, and finally stood at the source area of the poisonous mist. Crush. Luo Lin spit out 2 words in his mouth. 039 boo boo 039. The next moment, countless bright rays of light suddenly lit up between heaven and earth. It was 100 times, 1,000 times more than the previous onslaught that defeated Blackbeard. That's the light of Smash 039. This moment, the whole sky is shattered. Countless bright rays of light crisscrossing each other are like a dense net, trapping all the poisonous gas in it. Immediately after, the sky, the atmosphere and even the space are cut into squares 1 centimeter in diameter. The poisonous gas in the atmospheric space is inevitably cut and split. Crush. Roland whispered again. At the same time, the right hand was raised high, and the open palm was suddenly clenched. As a result, the countless 1 centimeter diameter blocks floating in the sky were further shattered. Biological poison gas that scurried left and right in each cube was crushed into finer fragments by the force of absolute smashing. By the end, even the original palpitating purple-black color could not be seen clearly. That's because all the poisonous gas has been smashed to a state that cannot be discerned by the naked eye. Even its own molecular structure has been destroyed by that absolute force and turned into another substance. This is Paramesha's fruit-crushing ability, known as the strongest and fiercest, the true power after awakening. Previously, its predecessor capable, Roxy Zebek, known as the Overlord of the Sea, failed to achieve, has now been realized by Luo Lin. After all, these 36 years were not wasted in vain. Wow 039. In the ruins of the lakeside town, Luo Lin finally threw his fist. The raging wind brought by the incomparable fist power rushed all the remnants of the 039 poison gas into the sky. Eventually dissipated into nothingness. Death 039, that shrouded the Winter Island has now vanished. I see it. Chopper, that man can no longer be viewed with common sense. Dr. Kurha's eyes were deep. Then a hero. Chopper stared blankly at Roland's back, unable to regain his senses for a long time. It really worked. Brother Roland really did it. There is no need to worry anymore, the tutor is indeed a tutor. This is really good. Quote. Robin, Vivi, Koala and other little girls recovered from the shock and jumped excitedly. There was laughter in the room. At the same time, a certain piece of sea outside the magnetic drum. Doc Q, the god of death, the Blackbeards hurried away like a bereaved dog, and went out to sea on a raft. This country is over, even the gods can't save it, ahem. Doc Q, the god of death, filled with the breath of death, said coldly. Just use this country to honor the death of our partner. Doc Q's eyes fell on Good Money, Devil Sheriff Lafayette, whose body was completely cold. He who touched the power of smashing beyond his own strength, the inside of his body has long been destroyed. It's dead now and can't die anymore. Hey, Doc Q, look there. What the hell is going on? Van Augur, who was blown away by Luffy's rubber rocket launcher, pointed to the countless bright lines in the sky of the Drum Kingdom, and couldn't help but be shocked. Yell. Impossible. How could such a thing happen? Down pointing arrow. Watching his country-killing poison gas be dispelled, the god of death Doc Q's eyes suddenly burst in horror, and his whole body trembled with anger and fear. Is that the strongest? Under that ability, nothing is impossible. Blackbeard hugged Lafayette's icy corpse. His eyes were blood red and his teeth creaked with anger. For a long time, Blackbeard's clenched fist loosened again. Hurry up and escape. Now we are not the opponents of that monster, but next time when I get the strongest power, I will definitely win. Lift. Chapter 98 Admiral Kizaru found the truth, 2/7 for order. The Great Root Street in Kingdom of Alabasta. The desert is boundless, the sun is poisonous. Over the endless desert, a brilliant golden light suddenly flashed. The speed is extremely fast, which can be called the fastest speed in the world. Took less than 10 seconds for this golden light to travel from the rain to the no man's land in the north of Alabasta Kingdom. 10 seconds later, over the old city site in the north of the kingdom. Countless brilliant golden photons converged from all directions, releasing dazzling rays of light. For a time, even the rays of the sun were covered by this golden light. The light of the golden photons was extremely strong, and then combined into a golden figure. After a while, the golden flashes converged, revealing the true body of the person among them. Found it. Wearing a royal-colored shoulder-strap justice cloak, and wearing a royal-colored striped suit inside, Admiral of the Marine Headquarters, Kizaru Borsellino pouted vulgarly. It took me a lot of work. Admiral Kizaru's body slowly descended into the ruins of the ancient city. Half a month ago, he, who has always been lazy, took the initiative to ask Marshal Sengoku for his life to be in charge of the investigation of the East Blue Arlong incident. 993 This is certainly not because of taking the wrong medicine or anything else. Kizaru's own personality is that he likes watching dramas and dislikes endings. The influence of East Blue Arlong time is very bad, and it is not bad to seriously smear Marine's image. But what does that have to do with him? He just needs to sit securely in the Marine headquarters. Check in and go to work on time every day. Get a generous monthly salary and save it, and everything will be fine. East Blue Arlong incident, own Marshal Sengoku and others to deal with. All he had to do was sit quietly and watch. That's how it should be. Until he noticed that special report from Colonel Tina. As Vice Admiral Crane said that day. Admiral Kizaru, who has always been calm, when he saw the report full of question marks, a figure who had been saying goodbye for many years unconsciously appeared in his mind. The feeling is vague, but real. Can't tell, don't know. Kizaru felt a sense of urgency. To ask for orders to investigate the Shichibukai crocodile. Should matter. After leaving the Marine department, Kizaru did not go directly to East Blue, but followed the advice of Vice Admiral Crane and came to the Kingdom of Alabasta. In Alabasta, he met King Cobra and Ikolem, and asked about the country's 3-year drought and the last heavy rain. Cobra and Ikolem were vague and said nothing. But Kizaru didn't come out of nowhere either. At least when he saw the momentary panic that flashed across the faces of Cobra and the two of them, a certain feeling in Kizaru became stronger. In the days that followed, Kizaru became more and more diligent. He spent 3 days in the history library of the palace, looking over the sea circle calendar around 1484, and the events in Alabasta. Finally let him find some important clues, a brief record. Admiral Kizaru finally came to the ruins of the ancient city after spending a week conducting a survey among the people. 36 years ago, blood-colored light beams pierced through the heavens and the earth, from one side of the red earth continent to the other side. Admiral Kizaru pouted softly to himself. On the same day 36 years ago, a meteor fell on the northern land of Alabasta, but no matter how much I searched, I couldn't find any meteorite fragments. Having said that, Admiral Kizaru paused. He found the gate of the entrance to the underground palace. In a flash, Admiral Kizaru came to the dilapidated underground palace. A brilliant golden light radiated from him, illuminating the dark underground palace. He saw craters that were not part of the underground palace. Saw the extinguished barbecue fire. I also saw the square hole leading to the underground river. Flash of gold, Kizaru did not enter the underground hole. Moments later, Kizaru, who returned, had more in his hands, a tattered marine justice cloak. Hee. Kizaru smiled happily. The smile at this moment is no longer wretched. It seems to be certain. Admiral Kizaru opened his mouth, no longer pouting in a wretched manner. Sure enough, Mr. Roland is as handsome as ever. Admiral Kizaru said with emotion. Medium. The capital of Alabasta, Royal Palace of Albana. Admiral Kizaru lying on a beach chair relaxing in the sun and manicuring his nails. King Cobra and Guard Captain EPUB couldn't help but feel a little upset. If Admiral from the Marine headquarters came in person, Cobra would naturally welcome him. But it's different now. Before Luo Lin nodded his approval, the information about him must not be leaked. Cobra is not clear about the grievances between Roland and the world government. But he's not stupid either. 36 years ago, the world government broke up with Roland, the hero of Marine, and even covered everything up. All of this is enough to show that what happened back then was definitely not a trivial matter. Once the news of Luo Lin's rebirth was revealed, it would inevitably cause an uproar. Admiral Kizaru came here this time, must also be because of what the government noticed. The Admiral investigation was dispatched from the very beginning. Sure enough, what happened back then was no trivial matter. Even if you were Admiral Kizaru, I can only say sorry this time. Cobra thought silently. Made up his mind not to let Admiral Kizaru know anything about Roland. After firming up his inner thoughts, Cobra stepped forward, ready to speak, to chase people away. 039 Li 039. At this moment, the chirping of hawks was heard in the sky. A clothed falcon flew straight into the palace. The body shape has also changed. From animal form to human form. Lord Cobra, come back, that Lord's fleet has returned from East Blue. Falcon Bell, who transformed into a human, reported happily. Bell. The captain of the guard, EPUB, suddenly shouted, and Bell was shocked. How? Before Bell finished speaking, Sha Yan stopped. Following EPUB's guidance, I saw Admiral Kizaru who was arranging the corners of his clothes. Mr. Marine Admiral Russolino, why are you here again? Bell widened his eyes. Sorry, go now, Admiral Kizaru said. Just say go. The next moment, a golden light flashed in the palace. The figure of Admiral Kizaru has disappeared. Quick, Bell, take me there. Cobra anxiously straddled Bell's eagle back and urged. Chapter 99 Admiral's Shichibukai, 3/7 for subscription. South and west of Alabasta. A large area, including the dry city ruins of Aruma, was full of people. There is no reason for him. Just because this is where the new city was built. The 20,000 Atonement Rebellion army headed by Kosha, plus 30,000 migrant workers recruited from all over Alabasta, are now in full swing for the construction of the new city. It's just over a month and a half. Waisung has begun to take shape. The iconic crescent-shaped inland sea has emerged. The foundations of the major buildings in Waisung City within the plan have also been laid down. At this rate, within 3 months, this new city will rise from the ground. Noon. Of Waisung, a black line appeared. The lines become clearer over time. So people can see that the continuous lines are exactly a large fleet composed of hundreds of ships. The ship is back with our nation's trade fleet. A small foreman recognized the sea double sword sign on the fleet in the distance through the telescope, and immediately groaned with excitement, his voice. The news spreads 10 10 spreads 100. East Blue trade fleet led by the nation's hero Crocodile was known to have returned. The entire city construction site immediately became violent. The workers spontaneously organized and gathered in the crescent-shaped harbor to see and greet their heroes' return. In the hearts of ordinary Alabasta citizens, Crocodile, who has fought countless pirates over the years, is still a hero in their hearts. In addition, they have already learned from the newspaper news about Crocodile's good deeds in East Blue. As a result, this also makes Crocodile's hero image more and more popular. If it were the past, Crocodile would be happy to take on the title of Hero 039, while enjoying the popularity from the people. On the other hand, he could mock them as ignorant fools in his heart, looking forward to them knowing the truth. What a funny look it's like knowing that the hero they honor has actually always been a big bad guy. Of course, that was before. The current Crocodile is really not happy about the ignorant pursuit of the people. Not only was he not happy, but his heart was filled with anger. The hero of the people, in his ears, instead of praise, it was a harsh mockery, which made him very upset. Who is he? He is a big pirate. Shichibukai crocodile that countless people are scared of. For a villain like him, to be advertised as a hero, is simply the greatest insult to him. For more than a decade in this country, he's just been playing the game of heroes. As long as you get what you want, you can lift the table 039 and enjoy the double happiness of the Hades battleship and the expressions of despair and fear of others. However, just before he was about to flip the table, Roland appeared. Not only did he hold down his table, but he also pressed down on his proud head. As a result, the hero game was forced to come true. Even if he had 10,000 unwillingness in his heart, he had to bow his head under Luo Lin's absolute force and that handle. Since East Blue was incorporated, 300 ships successfully crossed the windless route to Alabasta, and entered the Crescent Harbor one after another, bringing specialties from all over East Blue. At the same time, there is a larger capital for building the city. Crocodile, the most eye-catching people in this fleet, there are two great adults. The captains of the two giants who were fooled by Roland from the prehistoric island Little Garden to be free labor. Blue Ogre Dory and Red Ghost Brigitte. That's a giant. There are still giants. It was the first time I saw a giant with my own eyes. It was incredible. The workers in the harbor exclaimed in amazement. Gee ja, I haven't been out for 100 years, and I really don't know the outside world. Dory laughed. Ba, that's true, then hurry up and fulfill the promise to Lord Roland, and then maybe it's time for us to go back to Elbaf to see our former partners and those boys in Helding, Brigitte said. Then don't be lazy, Brigitte. You are, do you want to do more work than anyone else? Better then, when I'm afraid of you. The two giant captains who have been lifting the bars for 100 years are habitually on the bars again. But thanks to their loud voices, the city workers who knew their intentions were relieved. At the same time, he was a little excited inside. After all, being able to work with giants is enough for them to blow for a lifetime. Just when the atmosphere of the harbor reached its highest level, a dazzling golden light suddenly shone in the sky. When he saw the golden light in the sky, Crocodile's expression instantly became serious. As Shichibukai, how could he not recognize the identity of that golden light? Gu tilde ha, Admiral Kizaru, this is really rare. Crocodile spoke to the sky. Oh, you're the one who really surprised me, Sand Crocodile. After doing so many things in East Blue, they even found the two giants of the giant soldier pirates that disappeared for 100 years. Long. In the sky, Kizaru appeared in real form. So the originally noisy port suddenly became silent. Baba, little crocodile, who is that kid in the sky that glows with a pickup truck? It's like a 2,500,080,000 like. Brigitte asked loudly. Crocodile. Flowers. Admiral Kizaru. Red Ghost Brigitte, take note, that yellow monkey is also Admiral of Marine Headquarters. Crocodile grinned. What? Marine Admiral? Dory and Brigitte were taken aback. Because they suddenly thought that Luo Lin, who defeated their strongest attack Hakoku with one punch, seemed to be just a vice admiral. Marine Headquarters Admiral. Seems to be much more powerful than vice admiral. For a moment, the two giants stopped talking. It's not cowardly, just a little conscientious. After all, they just decided to go back to their hometown to see. If Marine got caught by now, it would be a joke. Crocodile opened his mouth as if he had guessed the reason why the two giants obeyed. Borsellino, these two giants can be regarded as under the protection of my Shichibukai identity for now, you should not want to arrest them. Oh, then forget it. Kizaru spread his hands. It wasn't my job originally, Crocodile, I'm here this time just for the person behind you, can you ask him to come out and meet? Kizaru asked kindly. Hearing this, Crocodile was surprised. Exposed. If it's not exposed, why did it attract Marine Admiral? Who is that man? At this moment, Crocodile became more and more puzzled and curious about Roland's identity. Of course, curiosity is curiosity. He couldn't be deceived so easily. Ha, Borsellino, I don't understand what you said, where is someone behind me? Crocodile grinned Isho and asked back. Really? Admiral Kizaru shook his head in disappointment. Not because he was disappointed by Crocodile's answer, but because his observation hockey searched all over the place and couldn't see the person he imagined. Yellow Monkey, why are you shaking your head? Are you dissatisfied with my answer? Under the shocked gazes of people, the crocodile on the deck soared into the sky, and there was a hook behind Admiral Kizaru. Kai 039. Glittering gold. The sand crocodile's hook fell through. Cut. Crocodile made a cut. The attack on Marine Admiral, even me, can't be taken as if it didn't happen, little crocodile. Kizaru opened his mouth lazily. Empty joy. Not seeing the person he wanted to meet, Kizaru was also in a somewhat unsightly mood. I was looking for someone to vent my anger. Exactly what I want. Also because the People's 039 heroes taunted the suffocated crocodile with a grin. 039 boom. Dazzling golden light and endless sand waves burst. The battle between Marine Headquarters Admiral and Shichibukai begins. Chapter 100 Roland and Kizaru. Teachers meet. 4/7 for order. Grapefruit, Winter Island. Drums, no, it might be the kingdom of cherry blossoms now. Along with the sound of the salute, a group of pink things rushed into the sky. However, this time, it is no longer a poisonous gas that chooses people to devour, but a beautiful 039 cherry blossom after another. After the invading pirate Blackbeard, a gang that fled miserably, the former Drum King Ball acts as a free alloy maker now. The country has finally ushered in its new life. Drum City on Drum Mountain. This is the castle where the kings of the past dynasties lived. Now it has become a place for Luo Lin and his party to enjoy the gorgeous cherry blossom rain. On the edge of the snow-capped cliff, Robin, Vivi, Nami, Kaya, Koala and other little girls lined up, sitting or standing. Everyone's eyes are all looking up at the sky without blinking. The beautiful words are shining. It's so beautiful, is this the big cherry tree that Brother Rolling said? Nami murmured unconsciously. The huge cherry tree with the whole country and even the island as the tree, 577, is so beautiful. Even Robin subconsciously exclaimed, looking at this beautiful scenery, he couldn't help but be fascinated. That annoying Wapple is gone. From now on here will be the new Sakura Kingdom. This country will definitely be better in the future, I believe. Vivi nodded firmly. It's great to be able to study medicine in such a beautiful country. Kaya blushed and clenched her pink fist firmly, no longer immersed in the sadness of being separated from Nami, Vivi, and Luo Lin. This is really the most beautiful scenery I have ever seen in my life, only. Koala sighed, and halfway through, the conversation changed abruptly. I said, you two brothers, can you be quiet? We beautiful girls want to watch the cherry blossoms quietly, you little boys are really unpleasant. Koala turned his head and roared at Sabo and Luffy, who were making noise not far behind him like a lion roaring hedong. Sorry. Sabo let out a ha-ha and smiled embarrassedly. Wait for me, little civet cat, you promised to be my partner. On the other hand, Luffy is still persevering in lobbying after the reindeer Chopper. Who is going to be your partner? I'm not familiar with you, don't come here again. Chopper screamed in collapse, walking on two short legs, playing hide-and-seek with the straw hat Luffy like a headless fly. Pat. A certain moment, two slender hands suddenly grew under Luffy's feet, crossed into a knot, and tripped them on the snow. Senior Chopper, come here. Kaya beckoned to Chopper. Chopper was stunned at first, when he realized that the 039 senior brother 039 in Kaya's mouth was referring to him. Chopper was immediately overwhelmed with joy, and then twisted 039 Yanko 039. Little civet cats, come here to see the cherry blossoms together. Vivi and other girls also called out. Chopper said that he was unwilling, but his body was very honest, and he sat down among the beautiful girls. Little civet cat, be my ship doctor. Luffy patted the snowflakes on his body and ran to the edge of the cliff. So Chopper panics again. 039 bang 039. 039 bang bang 039. 039 armed with 039 Iron Fist from Nami punished the stalking Straw Hat Boy. Knocked him to the ground, full of bags. Even if it is not the relationship between the captain and the crew now, Nami's little pink fist still has a natural causal restraint against the rubber man Luffy. Stupid Luffy, be quiet for me, this is the edge of a cliff, what if I fall? Nami reprimanded viciously. Okay, Dr. Chopper, it's all right. Turned to look at Chopper, Nami immediately put on a friendly face again. Asshole, it's so shy to call someone a doctor or something. Chopper still said no, but his body twisted happily because of Nami's doctor's voice. Ha ha ha. Immediately it burst into laughter. There was laughter outside the house, and Luo Lin in the house was unusually restless at this moment. An existence like him should not have such emotions. But no way. The 40-year-old trip to the drum country and the experience of being alone with the witch in front of him really left a psychological shadow on Luo Lin. After all, a 100-year-old old woman seems to have lost her mind. Even Luo Lin can't stand it if she chases after him to eat him. Whether it was before or now, Luo Lin's preferences have not changed. Even if the young and beautiful girl doesn't eat, it is very seductive to look at by her side. It's realistic, but it's the reality. What are you nervous about, you bastard? Don't worry, it's rare to meet old friends, and I don't want to scare you away again. Dr. Kurha, known as the witch, smiled sinisterly. By the way, you really don't want to see what I looked like when I was young. No worse than those little girls outside. I don't want to. Roland refused decisively and was not tempted. Well, what about the 100th birthday gift you promised me 40 years ago? I've been waiting for it for decades. Dr. Kuleha asked. Give. Luo Lin decisively took out a tube of crystal clear blood. Dr. Kurha took it excitedly. Although it is not the substance that is enough to restore youth, the value of this tube of blood is unlimited. 039 dang dang 039. Just when Dr. Kurha was excited, there was a knock on the door. The person who came was Dalton, the former drum country guard captain. Of course, now he has been promoted to the king of this new Sakura kingdom. The specific situation, the cause and effect, Dr. Kurha has explained to him clearly. Mr. Roland, your great kindness to this country, Dalton will live forever and never forget it. From now on, if it is useful, please let me know. Even though he has been promoted to king, Dalton still maintains the most humble attitude in front of the great benefactor of Roland who has saved the country twice, no, 3 times. Generous and generous, he gave Luo Lin a big salute and bowed down to thank him. Let's get rid of it, Dalton, this guy doesn't like this. As long as you really manage the country well and live up to what he has done, that is the best reward for him. Dr. Kurha said with a smile. Dalton looked up puzzled, but found that Roland, who was supposed to be in the room, had left. Mr. Roland, you really are. Dalton's eyes full of tears. I watched the cherry blossoms for a day with the little girls in the new cherry blossom kingdom. Kaya, who was left to study medicine, everyone else set foot on the road back to Alabasta. 3 days later, the Going Merry carried Roland and his party on board into the climate of Saint Tin. From time to time, the lucky sea cat, which symbolizes auspiciousness, jumps out of the sea. Another half hour. A huge golden island in the sun appeared in everyone's sight. Big 32, it's coming soon, and Alabasta is in front. Vivi, the Queen of Alabasta, happily introduced to everyone on board. Rolingo, let's go next. Just as Vivi was about to ask Luo Lin, she turned around and was surprised to find that Luo Lin, who was supposed to be sunbathing on the reclining chair, had disappeared. At the same time, southwest of Alabasta, there is a large desert no man's land about 100 miles away from Watchung. From time to time, the earth rushes up the boundless yellow sand, covering the sky and the sun. However, no matter how turbulent the sand sea is, the golden light in it will not have any effect. This battle between Shichibukai and Admiral has been going on for 3 days and 3 nights. However, this 550 war is about to come to an end. Because Roland is here, 36 years later, the original Vice Admiral and the current Admiral, Teacher and Disciple 1, meet again in this yellow sand in the sky.